a good trip.
Well, this will take some time.
Hello everybody. I hope that you guys are ready for a good time, and I hope that we provide it for you. Yeah. Roy's laughing at me because I am fucking wasted. I am
Gonna be one of those shows.
I am so wasted. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time though. I think we got some good stuff on tap for tonight. I'm your host Kaizen. My levels should be decent, I hope. I don't know. You tell me. Whatever. With me, we're going to start, because it's ladies' night. We're going to start with the guests and work our way up, and we're going for some ladies up front. Let's start with Jade StarWatcher. We're just going to AKA Jade for the rest of the night. But Jade, how you doing? And let's check your levels.
Hello. How are my levels? Testing 1, 2. Good? No?
Seems
We'll
good.
see. There's a delay. There's a delay on the chat, so it might take him a second to say.
Yeah, I'm watching live. I'm watching your stuff, and you're stuck in the yellow, so you weren't hitting red and you weren't dropping under. So that's legit. It looks good. It looks good. Little loud. Okay, just a little. Let me just tweak you.
I'll speak softly.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna tweak you just a little bit. You don't need to change anything. All right, Jade, tell us about your favorite sci-fi book.
Wow. Okay, since you said book singular, I would say Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. Classic.
Ooh, very good. Very
But if
good.
you're going to say books, I would say The Expanse.
Oh, God. Yes, my nerd boner is strong with you. Yes,
Okay.
The Expanse is, dude. I love Ty. I love both Ty and the other guy that are James S.A. Corey. I am a huge fan of both. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Misfit says no. Let her speak softly. LOL. Wink.
I will speak softly.
Somebody's being a little flirty. All
That's
right.
Black Sky Legion After Dark.
After dark. and our next lovely lady up is Lady Rain. Say hello, Rain.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Yes, yes. Let me check the levels. Tell me about your favorite sci-fi book.
Oh, God. Favorite sci-fi book right now would have to be, what is it? The Daughters of Dune,
Ooh, yeah.
which is one of the more recent books in the Dune franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And
That would do
to
Herbert
segue
proud.
into favorite series would have to be all of Frank Herbert's Dune.
All of it. And October 10th, the new one's coming. The day after SitCon. Can you believe this shit? It's too good.
It is too good. We're going to have a great weekend that weekend.
Mm-hmm. And our next lovely lady is Commander Katie Byrne.
Hello, everybody. It is, as always, wonderful to be here. And this week I've been doing mainly Star Citizen, as you might have guessed.
Yeah, of course. Yo, Dark Knight 75, what up? Shout out to the Soul Citizens in the house. Okay, and next, the lovely, the talented, the oh so sexy, Roy Cookson. Say hello to the beautiful people.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here. I think we're going to have a great show. Got lots of fun stuff lined up.
Roy, okay, I'm going to switch it up on you because I don't, you had time to prep. Let's go with, Roy, what is your absolute favorite pro wrestler? Go. You have to give an answer.
Hulk Hogan.
Wow, even after his weird racist shit that he said on wherever?
Well, I haven't kept up with it since the 1980s.
Fair. But the whole, Hulk fighting Rocky and getting his ass kicked, you're a fan of that and all the old stuff.
I've been to one actual WWE match. It was like a business thing, and it was a weird thing. You can imagine going to like a business meeting in the lounge of a box over top of a wrestling match. It was different.
Yo, I
But,
just see,
yeah.
I randomly see Misfit in chat saying Tatanka, and I'm literally instantly transported. I'm instantly transported back to Dances with Wolves, where he's like, Tatanka means buffalo. I have no idea why Misfit's saying it, but maybe he's a huge Dances with Wolves fan.
It's a wrestler. And I only know this because...
That's a wrestler?
I was not into wrestling, but we had the video game. My brother had the video games. So... he kind of through osmosis picked up a lot of the characters, I guess you call them. And Tatanka was one of them. I remember that. I very distinctly remember that name.
Here's the thing. I did not professional. I did semi-pro MMA. I did 2 matches, no big deal. But I did MMA stuff. If I want to watch large muscly men rolling around while oiled up, I'll just put on gay porn. I don't who cares, but the whole WWE whatever the hell, it's I don't get. I'll watch a boxing match, I'll watch an MMA, a UFC fight. Pro wrestling, I never gave any fucks, but whatever, to each your own. If you enjoy watching grown men with fake tans be oiled up and rolling around on the ground, hey, knock yourself out, whatever, it's all good. No judgment. Yeah, so I think we got good sound on everybody. Let's start down. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's gonna be a new thing. We're gonna count 10 people randomly, and we're going to call them out for being awesome. Right off the bat, Gummerali VR. You are so sexy. Senzo Rai. Awesome. Psy Prime. Hello, sir. Misfit, you've already got a shout out, so you're not getting another one, Misfit. I'm not saying your name on the stream, Misfit. Elix Whitetail. Lalafell, motherfucker. Yeah. Let's see. Tom Servo. That is a cool name. Tragic Blue. I dig it. Hinatas. Wow. Adwan. Woo! And Onikazi, you're number 10. You got the last spot. Wow. Hey, Roy, do the same for Twitch. Knock it out of the park.
You're going to make me count to 10 and read all these names? Let's
Oh, here's what I did. I just put my left hand out and I counted the numbers up to 5 and then down to 1.
I've got my hand in front of my face. I was about to do the same thing. Right? This is all right. Pops in space. That's cool. Welcome. Fist to face gaming.
Well, hold on. Pop,
yes.
we gotta call this out. You randomly pick Pops in space and Fist to face. So Pops is Fist's dad, and those are 2 beautiful fucking OG Soul citizens. Huge salute to both of you.
How about that? And let's see, Nova Trio, welcome. Well, I can't not shout out Remar, dominating the chat here.
Yes.
Excellent.
Remar's awesome people. Also from Soul Citizens. Yeah.
Crazy Shack 48, welcome. You already called out Dark Knight. Geez, we might have trouble getting to 10. Here we go. Ronan X38.
Hello.
Welcome, TG Yak. Glad to have you here. And most of this. Oh, Paseo. Glad to see you.
Hello.
And I think that's it.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. We've got a lot of shit to get to tonight. So let's get it rolling.
Around, I'm having fun, don't put me down. I'll never let you sweep me off my feet. I won't let you in again. The messages I've tried to send, my information's just not going in. Burning bridges shore to shore, I'll break away from something more. I'm not turned on to love until it's cheap. Been there, done that, messed around, I'm having fun, don't put me down. I'll never let you sweep me off my feet. This time, baby, I'll be bulletproof. This time, baby, I'll be bulletproof. I won't let you turn around and tell me now I'm much too proud to walk away from something when it's dead. Do your dirty words come out to play when you are hurt? There's certain things that should be left unsaid. Tick, 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 tick on the watch, and life's too short for me to stop. Oh baby, your time is running out. I won't let you turn around and tell me now I'm much too proud. All you do is fill me up with doubt. This time, baby, I'll be bulletproof. This time, baby, I'll be
Yeah, that is some legit good music by POMPLAMOOSE, which I have on good authority. It's actually French for pineapple. Yeah. Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to what's the name of the show? Black Sky Legion, episode 94, Ladies' Night, and we're feeling right. Oh yes, it's Ladies' Night. Oh what a night. We've got myself, Kaizen, Katie Byrne, the lovely and talented, Roy Cookson, and Jade and Rain Cloud. So we're outnumbered. We got the ladies are in charge tonight. So we're gonna start right off the bat with the ladies. We're gonna work our ways from the guests up. Let's start with Jade from Soul Citizen. Why don't you say hello to the beautiful people? Tell us what you're drinking and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Jade, also known as Jade StarWatcher in the Star Citizen community, and I am drinking it's got no alcohol in it, but it's half lemonade, half lemon green tea.
Ooh, an Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, when you do
Okay.
half lemonade, half tea, it's called an Arnold Palmer. That's not how he drinks it, the golfer dude.
Does he drink it with green tea or just like black tea?
I think just like tea and lemonade, but just that's a
Okay.
generic term. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess I should tell people what I do.
Sure.
In Star Citizen. All right, so I am recently, as in like within the last, I think 4 months, a new member of the Soul Citizens crew and hosts. So you can catch me over on twitch.tv/Soul Citizens every Sunday. I'm also frequent in Soul Talk, which is our community talk show where people from the Star Citizen community or Elite community or any space game really can come in and interact with us and talk. I am also one of the original mods in the Star Citizen Ladies Discord. I'm still a mod there. And also I started a little radio station that in the Star Citizen universe called the People's Radio, patterned after Lave Radio or Radio Lave, which I came across when I got into Elite, and I'd seen that there were like stations and stuff that were like, set in the lore and universe of Elite, and I wanted the same thing for Star Citizen. I didn't really see anything like that like on a consistent basis for news, music, information, all within like set within the game. So I started that as well, and we're going to be relaunching around the time of CitizenCon. So I invite you to check out our weekend tests up until then at twitch.tv/The People's Radio. We're also streaming on Mixcloud Live, so you can find that at mixcloud.com/The People's Radio. And I believe I may have covered just about every. Oh, the other thing I've done, I organized the first Yuri's Night celebration in the Star Citizen universe. So it was a big pub crawl, space pub crawl with luxury ships going through the Stanton system in 2948, aka 2018.
Beautiful.
That's all.
So, just for those keeping track at home, I didn't even know there was a ladies' Discord for Star Citizen. I got to try to get into that. We got.
You're welcome as long as you abide by the rules.
Right. So we've got. I'm just being silly. We got Twitch Soul Citizens, twitch.tv/Soul Citizens. It's in the show notes. Twitch People's Radio, Twitch TV/The People's Radio in the show notes. We've got your YouTube in the show notes. Although, let's see, hold on. I think it says TPR YouTube. For some reason, it doesn't make a link to that. Is that? We'll double check that link.
Yeah.
We'll double check that. We got your YouTube in the show notes. We've got the Discords to both Star Citizens Ladies Night Out. Don't. I was just joking. Don't join and be weird. It's for the ladies. We got Discord, the People's Radio Discord as well. link in the show notes, and your Twitter, so people can, you know, follow along with all of your stuff. Let me make sure that links. Twitter.com/Jade StarWatcher is not coming up as a thing. I think I got to put it in that www. We'll get it sorted. So yeah, and Jade is a IRL scientist, yeah? I think
That is correct. Yes.
yeah. So the reason why I bring that up is because over at Soul Citizens, when we get to sciencey stuffs, it's always like, hey, we don't know, let's ask Jade, and we go from there. So yeah, I just definitely wanted to give that a shout out.
Thank you.
And let's move on to our other lovely lady guest of the night. We've got Lady Raincloud, who you all know is a reoccurring guest. We'd like to have Rain on, you know, once a month or so. She is one of the Star Citizen researchers. She is an OG Star Citizen backer and a community manager in the game development, you know, industry or area, whatever aspect of that. So she brings a sort of very unique perspective, kind of, you can see from the other side of things, like, you know, hey man, this is sort of how game companies look at things and sort of view things. Say hello to the beautiful people, Rain. Tell us what you're drinking and tell us a little bit about yourself and all of your links and whatnot. And also, you need to, I'm not letting you go without highlighting your Saturday night streams where you stream very cool sciencey, spacey games.
Definitely. Yeah. So hi everybody. Kara here, aka Lady Raincloud. And yeah, some of you know me, some of you don't. As Kai mentioned, I'm a community and media relations manager in the games industry by trade. Done that for 10 years. Before that, I was in the U.S. Navy as a hospital corpsman. So disabled veteran, honorably discharged, if people care. Was a medical professional in the military. And tonight's drink of choice is Jose Cuervo Margarita Strawberry and Lime.
Nice.
So that's been fun. And yes, I'm also trans and part of the LGBT community. So also please check out the Star Citizen LGBT community Discord, which is really, really nice. We can get that later for those that are there. So other than that, yeah, been with Star Citizen since the beginning, and you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Lady Raincloud. I'm also starting up my own game studio. We have a Discord for Siren Song Studios, which will obviously be in the notes. And you can find me twitter.com/KaraRaincloud and twitter.com/SongSiren for the studio Twitter account.
Beautiful. Rain, I'm going to ask you, please, before the end of the night, update the under your guest interview section for that. What did you say? It was trans persons of Star Citizen or whatever, that Discord, so that people LGBTQ plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that people can get access to that. We definitely are all about, you know, inclusion and making sure that we reach out to everybody, and, you know, feel free to join in the discussion over there, and let's build up that Discord. Let's make it stronger. Let's show whether you happen to be a person of the LGBTQ plus spectrum or just an ally, whatever. Let's all stand together in solidarity of just not being a dick. I think that's a way to put it. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So let's see. And moving on to our next lovely lady, we have the lovely, the talented Katie Byrne.
Hello, as always, everybody. It is delightful to be here. We've got a great show lined up. And I am furiously just typing out some notes very quickly in the background. Some of the news items we're covering. Tonight I am not drinking alcohol. I'm designated driver tonight. I'm drinking, in fact, I might even be the supercharged driver because I'm drinking Monster Energy Ultra, the sugar-free, of course. I've got a case of it. So I'm just going to be drinking that through the night. If I start to talk very, very quickly near the end, you'll know why.
Absolutely. I am on my 5th Dragon's Milk, and I don't know if I should admit that. I'm just drinking vodka. I have a glass. There's vodka in it. I have 2 ice cubes. I keep refilling it every time I see the ice cubes. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Whatever. Everybody has their own taste. Yeah. Whew. And Roy, what you drinking tonight? How you feeling, brother?
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm drinking some, it's a California red blend called The Last Room. So it's a nice little bottle of blended red wine here. Nothing too fancy, but goes down well.
Okay. Hey, red wine. If I had a nickel for every time I started the show with, I'm sipping a nice Merlot. I'm also very classy. Yeah. So, yeah. Good stuff. With regard to the LGBTQ Star Citizens Discord, it currently is, I think, not open for general invites. If you would like to be a part of that project and take part in it, contact Lady Rain directly. You can find her in the Black Sky Legion Discord, and she will get you a link, because if there is any members listening of the LGBTQ plus community, or people who would like to just, take part in the discussion, we want to make sure that you are included, and I'm sure that Rain will hook you up, take good care of you.
I will.
Absolutely. So, let's get this intro going here. Right off the bat, let's start off with the fact that, holy cow, our awesome thumbnail was Burn, Baby Burn by Commander Maskime, ECC, Bonjour, ça va? A phenomenal content creator of the French nationality community of both Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous. Maskime is, we love Maskime. He's, unless I'm very much mistaken, he's a member of Remlock. He might not be. I know there's like 2 very big French content creator groups. He's an amazing artist, so we want to give him lots of love, and yes. Our opening song was Bulletproof by POMPLAMOOSE. Link is in the show notes. Our closing song is going to be In Hell, I'll Be in Good Company by the Dead South. Link is in the show notes. And wait, our opening song, whatever. Our opening song did include the new stinger, right? Did I include that? Did I forget that? Did it? No? Maybe?
I don't think it was in there.
Bummer. Okay. Well, it'll be next week. Whatever. We got a bunch of cool new stingers. I just paid out of pocket this very cool British lady to record a lot of stuff for us with stingers and stuffs that we'll have it better next week. Whatever. So we're covering a very cool new space survival game that we're excited to show you about. Elite dropped some info, and we have more on the Hyford's Cache story as it presented itself. The Argo cargo is dominating in this ship showdown, and we have a sneak peek at next year's winner. I'm calling it now. More Xenothreat talk and sitcom speculation. And Nomansky dropped the Frontiers update, and there's much rejoicing amongst the travelers in the galaxy. All this and more, so stay tuned.
If you're listening to us on the podcast and would like to see the live show and visuals, check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Black Sky Legion and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Black Sky Legion. If you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch and would like to know how to catch our podcast, check out anchor.fm/Black Sky Legion.
For sending us your thoughts by email, you can reach us at blackskylegion@gmail.com.
Our very active and growing Black Sky Legion Discord can be found at tinyurl.com/BSL Discord, where you can check out community feedback, resources on Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, and No Man's Sky, and get real-time updates from a variety of content creators.
In addition to the Discord community feedback channel, feel free to write in our YouTube comments anything about the topic of the week. as well as anything else you'd like to share. We'd love to hear from you.
Also, if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe and click on the bell. It really helps us out. On Twitch, a follow would be much appreciated.
We record live every Friday night at 8 PM Eastern, midnight UTC, so come and join in on the fun.
If you're listening to us on the podcast, please make sure to rate and review us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever platform you use, and let us know if there's a format you want us to look into.
And most importantly, tell your friends about the show.
You're listening to the Black Sky Legion! Subscribe if you want! Who fucking cares?
Goddamn right! Yes, I want to stop and give a huge shout out to Griff Gaming RPG in the chat on, I don't know, Twitch. Dude, fuck, you know we love you, brother. You are, like, as far as I'm concerned, you're on that same level as Down to Earth Astronomy. You are welcome to join us any given week. Just hop in the chat and ping me, say, yo, Kai, drag me down. You can join in. You are fucking family, brother. Let's start off with the fact that Yoku's Island Express, I have no clue what it is, but literally as the theme song to start the show was playing, it popped up on the Epic Game Store and it was like, you could get this game for free. So, I don't know. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's dog shit. Get it for free. I don't know. Whatever. Let me close that out. All right. Whew. That takes us to the Black Sky Legion segment. So, Black Sky Legion announcements right off the bat. We have our new show is starting this Sunday in 2 days. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. UTC. It's going to be myself, Ben Moss Woodward from Lave Radio, Souverine from Sag-Eye Magazine, and as well as various guests, random, we're going to have like a pool of guests that will just be showing up. The plan is to have anywhere from 2 to 4 on any given week. People join in, and it's going to be a discussion, an open discussion of all things geek and gaming and space and whatever else we fucking feel like. It's going to be, you know, talking about Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous, No Man's Sky. First off, I gotta say, because somebody called it out, they're like, haha, No Man's Sky in the chat. I call it No Man's Sky, it's No Man's Sky. I respect the fuck out of this game, and I love the people. It's just my own personal, like, inside shtick joke thing. I call it No Man's Sky. I love this game, and you're going to hear about that later this episode. But we're going to talk about New World, the very awesome MMO. We're going to talk about, you know, Marvel stuff and Star Trek and Star Wars and you know, Mandalorian. Anything that is just cool and geeky and nerd shit, we're going to talk about it. And the idea of this show is it's going to be not really sort of scripted and segmented like this show. It's going to be just random talk. It's going to be 3 or 4 people, awesome dudes and lovely ladies that are just going to be talking off the dome on whatever we feel like. So, I mean, I hope it'll be fun and interesting for you. Check it out, and maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't. Nobody has to like stuff. Whatever. So, yeah. That show starts this week, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. UTC. We're going to roll with it. In addition to that, we have, let's see. No, absolutely. I see Rain typing in the internal chat saying like, "Hey, I'll come join you." You are welcome to. We'll set it up. Remind me after the show, because I'm very drunk. I will add you to the cast for Zero Prep, which is the internal working title we have for the show, because I think you would be an awesome person to come talk about random stuff. So you remind me.
I can talk about random stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that takes me to the other projects segment of Black Sky Legion segment. So we're going to talk about a very, very cool game, or interesting. I haven't played it, so I shouldn't call it cool, but very interesting. It's called ICARUS no rescue. So I'm going to start right off the bat by playing you a cool 2 videos. The first is a trailer that was the announcement trailer where they had actors to kind of give you the lore background of it. And it's going to roll right into the second trailer, which is a gameplay sort of thing from the PC Gamer, where they show like actual gameplay footage. Because I think, so I love when companies say, hey, here's our lore stuff, and they give you cool background and flavor text or flavor video or flavor whatever of the game. I love and respect that. But I also sometimes will see certain trailers and go, okay, that's nice. Now show me what it actually is going to be when I play it. So we've got both put together, and as soon as that's done playing, we're going to go through the panel and have people kind of give their thoughts and interesting ideas. And I know Jade's been playing it so on those special weekends, so we're going to get an insider's view of what the game is actually like. Please to enjoy.
Icarus was supposed to be a second Earth, some kind of paradise, brought to you by the best scientific minds in the universe. Yeah, right.
You know, wonder they called it Icarus. Big planet-sized dream that came crashing down.
They had no idea what they were in for. No one did.
They it up. Pure and simple.
I've done a lot of crazy in my time, eh? But Icarus, that was next level. If you couldn't find food, you died. If you couldn't find oxygen, you died. If you couldn't find shelter from the storms, you died.
Mo, she was an engineer, a xeno-engineer. She was sent with a team to terraform the place, so... yeah, she was there when it all went to hell.
The other guys, they left as soon as they could. But not Mo. That wasn't her style.
She was there to make money. Like the rest of us.
People died on Icarus all the time, you know? You just tried not to think about it.
What happened to her was no accident, no way.
Well, the journey to Icarus was brutal. It was 4 light years from Earth, 30 trillion miles, and 2 years in long sleep. I mean, talk about jet lag.
We were the first cohort. We were the first wave of cowboys. You know, it was a whole new planet. It was unreal. Then reality kicked in.
Oh, they opened up Icarus to prospectors when all the terraforming went. So I signed on as soon as I could.
She offered to drop with us. She wanted to show us around like was it her apartment or something?
Well, I figure she just wanted to see how we do on the first drop.
It was like going back in time and seeing the Earth 1 million years ago.
The trees, the plants, the animals, they're from Earth. I mean, the bio team had adapted them after terraforming went to but Jesus Christ, it does your head in at first. Outside the zone, it was different.
People always think that we had a bunch of advanced tech up there, but we had nothing. We spent everything just trying to get there. We're like cave people in spacesuits, those first few drops. If we needed shelter or tools or something, well, we had to make it ourselves.
I barely made it back to the dropship alive that first time. Yeah, I got better, of course. I mean, Mo taught me some. She taught me how to build shelters, find oxygen. But the best thing she taught me was, you got to respect that planet, not to fear it.
She was smart. I mean, cocky as hell, but look, she'd been part of the terraforming group, right? So she knew the planet inside and out. I mean, literally, right?
She spoke about it all the time, you know, about the first time terraforming it wasn't going to work. And about finding the first exotics.
I'm just saying, doesn't it feel like a coincidence that they declared the planet uninhabitable just when they discovered the most valuable material in the universe? Weird, eh? Hey, I ain't complaining. I did okay out of it.
It was the exotics that killed the terraforming. Screwed with the enzymes. Then again, they changed everything. I mean, without the exotics, there never would have been a first cohort. Because it was all about the exotics. You find them, you sell them back at the station, you get more gear, you go back down, find more, drop, survive, and repeat.
On Icarus, a handful of exotics would get you a new suit, a radar, a rifle. But on Earth, it would buy you anything you wanted.
I talked about her mum and her brother all the time. The kind of life she could give them thanks to the exotics she'd found.
She didn't stay because she needed the money. She'd made her money. She stayed because she loved it. We all did. It was addictive. She was addicted.
The second you felt comfortable on the surface, you take your eye off the mission clock. And that's how people died.
It happened all the time, eh? You know, people would miss their window to get back to their ship, and then there was no way they'd get back to the station, and that was it. Never see them again.
They had to die, that's for sure.
The drop started off fine.
None of us had ever been to that part of the planet before, not even Mo.
Prospecting in unfamiliar areas, I hated it. But there was always more exotics and undiscovered areas, so none of us knew what to expect. Not back then. But Mo, she was like a moth to a flame.
Didn't even notice she'd wandered off.
If you're asking me if I feel guilty for what happened to her, I do.
We looked for her as long as we could. But, you know, there's a big storm coming, and you don't hang about for those ever.
A bear attack is my guess. The forests were full of them. I mean, anything could have happened.
It wasn't an accident. Mo didn't come back because she didn't want to come back. She knew she couldn't go home, not after what had happened to that planet and the part she had played in it.
Look, Mo didn't want to die. She was right where she wanted to be.
Ma, John, 你们好. How are you guys? You got a girlfriend yet, bro? Sorry, I haven't been in touch. My bad. Just want to say that I'm fine. Today is my last drop. I wish that maybe if the terraforming had worked, you could have been here. Not what people could have been here. I miss you guys. Thank you. You know, I'll see you guys soon. Cap?
This is Chris with PC Gamer, and I recently got to play Icarus, the survival game in development from ROCKETWORKZ, the studio founded by DayZ creator Dean Hall. Icarus takes place on an alien planet, with players traveling down from orbit to the planet's surface in order to acquire resources and bring them back up to their space station. In the clips you're about to see, Dean Hall tells me about the first chapter of Icarus called First Cohort, where players will visit a forest biome searching for expensive materials to sell back up in space. Hall walks me through some of the early survival systems like gathering wood and stone, crafting weapons, and hunting wildlife, and he explains why ROCKETWORKZ went with a handcrafted map rather than a procedurally generated one.
We very much leaned in to that PvE side of things. You know, really being you against the planet. And I guess that's where the storm comes from. So storms on Icarus are really dangerous. So we have all the usual gathering mechanics. So as you're going along, you can definitely gather some stuff. This is a building that a tree fell on. So, you know, the damage mechanics are pretty brutal. To save space in our dropship, we've taken the minimum amount with us, and we're hoping to find our fortune. So every tree, every bush in this entire map is harvestable, and let's say there's a lot. So if you walk up, these are all voxel rocks as well. So you're really just trying to iterate on that feeling of harvesting and make everything as satisfying as possible. So we're using very basic tools. Obviously, they can get a lot better over time. So whack the tree a little bit and make sure it doesn't fall over on anyone.
Very good.
And then chop it up. So we've actually gone through and made a handcrafted mat because we really just wanted to have you that real sense of exploration and everywhere being different. So, you know, we've come down onto this drop. There's different kinds of missions you can do, but in this case, we'd say, you know, come down to get these exotics, these special materials that people have found. So ICARUS First Cohort is our first release, and that is basically the prospect is going into the safest biomes. And over time, the biomes that get unlocked will be progressively more dangerous. I'm going to judge you on your ability to hit this shot. Good job. Do you have a hunting knife? Oh, actually, no. So we'll carry this one back and we'll skin it at the bench. Whoa.
Whole bunch more deer.
Yeah, there's a wolf hunting deer over there. You know, one of the challenges with procedural generation is once you've visited one biome, you've kind of visited them all. And that's why by hand authoring the map, we really wanted to make it feel like you were actually exploring as we'd intended. And even like, see here, the animals, we've got this deer's got a little baby deer beside it. We really tried to just make everything alive. They have their own like life cycle they go through. They'll go find water when they're thirsty. They'll go find food when they're hungry. Someone will cruelly kill that deer's child. So yeah, storms on ICARUS are savage. The animals will get freaked out by storms as well. And the most gentlest storms are actually in the forest biome. As you get to the other biomes, they get progressively worse. So yeah, we're fairly lucky. This is not too bad a storm. They get pretty bad. And they can set the forest on fire, lightning, set your buildings on fire.
Thanks for watching, and check back with us soon. We'll have plenty more coverage of ICARUS in the near future.
All right, so that is ICARUS No Rescue by ROCKETWORKZ. So they describe it as ICARUS is a session-based PvE survival game for up to 8 co-op players or solo. Explore a savage alien wilderness in the aftermath of a terraforming gone wrong. Survive long enough to mine exotic matter, then return to orbit to craft more advanced tech. Meet your deadline or be left behind forever. The game is scheduled to launch November 20th, and pre-order purchasers are eligible for beta weekends that they're starting as of like a week ago. So like it's happening now. Eligible for beta weekends between now and then testing the different areas. The official site link is in the show notes. It's surviveicarus.com. Official ICARUS on Steam, you can wishlist it. Link is in the show notes. ICARUS on YouTube compilation page. Link is in the show notes. And the official ICARUS Discord link is in the show notes. We just gave you, because again, I think it's very important that you not just sort of do the, like, how do I say it? Like, don't just show the, like it's very, very cool that a company is ballsy enough to do a story announcement trailer and they have professional actors acting out a story thing. That's awesome. I don't want to shit on that by any means. I want to salute that. That's showing me that you care about your story and you want to present it in an interesting way. Mwah, chef's kiss. I like that. But you also need to show players gameplay footage. If you just show a group of prospective players only machinima or only actors or only whatever and zero gameplay, I feel like, just me personally, my opinion, you're only telling half the story and people are kind of like, well, what do I get involved in this? Do I not? I don't know, because what's the game going to be like when I get to it? So to me, I wanted to highlight both aspects, and I did. I put together 2 trailers, and now I want to go down the cast and get everybody's feelings on this, because I feel like we've given a good, for prospective people who are in the chat, who are watching this video, who have never heard of Icarus before, I want you to see A, a really good lore thing, and B, actual gameplay footage, and then C, hear from the cast their opinions so that you can kind of, decide for yourself, hey, this looks good, this doesn't look good. Again, this is coming out in just a couple months, and pretty much every weekend now they're doing special weekends for people that pre-order, that you get to check a desert biome, a forest biome, a swamp biome, a ice biome, or whatever. So let's go around the cast. Let's start with Roy. What did you think of all this?
Well, let me start by saying I like this genre. I mean, I've played a lot of Ark and The Long Dark. I played much less of Valheim and 7 Days to Die, but I've sort of got this smattering of understanding of the different mechanics, and I was sort of watching the second video with more than the first, and I do like the first, setting up the sort of the headcanon and the lore. That was cool. But what I was looking for in the second video was what's differentiating this, because there's a lot of competition in that space now, and so I was really trying to figure out. I like that they have, for example, the voxel rocks. That was cool, and the tree fall. I think someone mentioned in the chat that that some of the stuff's like Valheim, but I'll be very interested to hear from Jade, who's played it, because I'm not sure that I got out of that video really what the secret sauce is. It looks fun. And I was trying to figure out, given how competitive that space is, what's the little bit extra they're doing that's gonna, maybe it's the countdown clock, I don't know, but what's the bit extra that's gonna make that even more fun if I had all those games to choose from?
Right on. The things that to me seem super interesting are, number one, this is not a PvP situation. This is entirely PvE. You can either go on your own or go with a group of co-ops, and you're dropped in a specific biome with a specific time limit, and it's gather as much of the exotic resource as you can, build up what you need to in that time. It's a similar thing to 7 Days to Die, where it's 7 Days to Die, it's like zombie horde is coming on the 7th day, build up your defenses to protect against it. This is different in that it's build up your defenses to survive for your X time limit, explore to the point where you can find Y exotic resource, and make sure that you get back in time for the Z time limit shuttle takeoff, or cool, great, you got a bunch of stuff and you got a cool house, and you're dead because you missed the takeoff shuttle. And it just kind of comes in wave after wave, which is super interesting. You know what? It just occurred to me, I didn't get through the rest of the stuff. I'm going to go through the rest of the stuff, and then I will call on the rest of the people. So we also have Icarus, the Making of Icarus, Episode 1, Woodcutting Simulator, which is a very cool video. In this video, it's a very frank message from the developer of the game, discussing what goes into making a AAA survival game and lessons they learned. He is very open and honest about sort of like, I think we failed on 7 Days to Die in this, and this aspect, and so we learned from that, and we're making this thing, which is like, wow, it's weird when you hear a game developer talking openly about, like, here are things we learned, here are successes we had, here are failures we had. You never see that. And it's so I respect the hell out of Star Citizen because it's one of the few projects where you see them openly discuss their failures, and this is a similar thing. Katie, real quick. In the show notes, we have the official site for surviveicarus.com. We have the site to wishlist it on Steam, and we have the Icarus YouTube compilation page and the official game Icarus Discord. So all of that will be there for you. Check it out for yourself. See if it's something you're interested in. Katie.
The tech looks very good, and the intro, the kind of lore building, I thought it was pretty cool. It had it reminded me a lot of the opening sequence to District 9. You know, you got people kind of like recounting a kind of like, you know, I thought that was pretty good. It's not a genre I'm interested in. Like, I have no interest in playing this whatsoever. It's tangentially space related, but it's like, it's just not like the survival genre as a whole. I played it when it was a new thing with like DayZ and games like that, and I think it looks very good. I think that people who like that genre will probably very much enjoy this game, and the tech is very cool. But for me personally, no, it doesn't hold a lot of interest.
Okay, me personally, I found it interesting that there was so much about this game that I loved, and the aspects that I loved about it were the ways that it was similar to No Man's Sky. In No Man's Sky, it's a massive amount of planets, and it's survival, build a base, build whatever. So a lot of that was similar to No Man's Sky. Here's the one thing that took me out of it. You're telling me I'm flying to Alpha Centauri. I'm flying a couple light years away, and when I land, I'm going to be taking a piece of leather and tying a rock to a stick and making a hatchet. Like, wait, what? That's the one. But I get it. I get that it's the conceit of the game, but that's the one thing where it's like, wait, I'm flying at the speed of, or close to the speed of light, and then when I get there, I'm using caveman equipment and building my way up. Like, you have to suspend a little disbelief. So I think some people will have a problem with that. Other people will be like, no, I'm good. I'm buying into the concept. I'm good with starting with a stick tied with a piece of leather to a rock. But I know that I'm going to eventually work my way up to pew space lasers. Like, okay, whatever. Lady Rain, your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, Dean knows his stuff. ROCKETWORKZ has been developing games since 2016. I would argue, when they mentioned 7 Days to Die, I mean, that's the 40th out of 40,000 games on Steam. 7 Days to Die right now is the 40th most played game on Steam, and in the top 20 we have Ark Survival Evolved. So survival games are really popular and they're getting played, and I, like Katie said, I like the tech, I like the storytelling, but I don't see anything that's going to stop me from playing Fallout 4 on survival, or The Long Dark, which has no gimmicks and is just pure hardcore survival, or again 7 Days to Die, which lets me have that Minecraftian experience and all that kind of good stuff. So looks cool. I'm not interested. I wish I was.
Okay. I mean, here's the thing. We put it out there. It's a flavor that a lot of people will like. A lot of people won't. There's no shame in that game. You play what you like, but because it is a survival game, but it's a space survival game, I kind of really wanted to cover it. And now, bringing up the rear, I saved you for last because you were the one of us that has actual experience in the game. Jade, I want you to do me a favor, and as much as we all talked about it, I want you to take twice as long and tell us your actual experiences and thoughts as a player of the game.
Okay. So I came into this having never played a survival game other than No Man's Sky. I almost said No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky on survival mode. I did that a couple of times, but I wanted to get back to my game save, so I didn't spend a lot of time at it. So that's where I'm going to come from with this. Those of you who've played other more fleshed out survival games, I can totally understand where you're coming from, because this, is probably nothing special compared to the names I've heard that I heard are really popular. But it is a space survival game, and I'm drawn to space games, and it is a lot of fun. I jumped in with like 5, 6 other people as part of the Soul Citizens, and we were playing it last weekend when they went live, and it's pretty amazing. And you basically descend onto the planet in a capsule, and then you get out and you have to go and find resources like any other survival game, I assume, and then craft things. What impressed me was, for instance, you have to get protection from storms, and I tried something that works in No Man's Sky, but I wasn't sure if it would work in this game. Was hollowing out a big rock so that you had some kind of shelter, and it actually worked. Like Fist of Face is like, "You think that's gonna work?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's food for science, right?" So that actually worked. There's an attention to detail with the whole voxel system that they've built, where you can manipulate your environment and cut down trees and all that. So that's all of it good. It's a fun game. It is PvE, so if you're more PvE oriented and you'd like to just be able to jump into something really quick with friends, it's not bad at all. It's kind of addicting, to be honest. But then again, that's me. I don't know if I'd have played those other games if this would have the same appeal. Okay, so that's the good.
Mm-hmm.
On the bad side, there's a few more things. You made a great point, Kai, about the suspension of disbelief with regards to you've traveled 4 light years and now you're starting out like a caveman. I was willing, though, to accept that premise. The thing with suspension of disbelief is the more that you are asked to do it, the harder it becomes to do. So we're on this planet where we're running out of oxygen, but we're encountering bears, deer, higher wolves, higher, complex life that looks exactly like its Earth counterpart. And we're in a forest, presumably photosynthesizing, providing oxygen. So why are we running out of it? If they wanted to really do this as a, quote, space survival game, they should have made the planet more alien and the creatures more alien. Because then there's less you have to suspend disbelief on. It makes no sense whatsoever that you're running out of oxygen, but a bear, which consumes a lot of oxygen, right? Doesn't, right? So I'd hope that they change those creatures before it's released, and maybe make the planet look a bit more alien. I mean, okay, and on that note, they put a big gas giant in the sky. One of the first things I noticed as an astronomer, I'm looking at the sky, right? I see a big gas giant, and I see another thing that looks like a moon. And I'm assuming, okay, it's a moon. I'm even watching like the motion of it during the day-night cycle. And I'm like, we're a moon of that gas giant. It's like we're Avatar or something, right? Yeah, so like, then I watched the trailer after having already played, and they're all calling it a planet. And so I'm like, okay, so there's some holes in their lore that they're going to have to tighten up, I think. But other than that, it's a fun game.
Yeah, that makes a very, very good point when you think about it. It's like, yeah, how does that work? Yeah. And the aspect of how does it work with regard to, it says limited time, like, so it's a session or whatever. It's a limited time until your capsule takes back off, but it's a co-op whatever. Is it that it's for one game session? Like when you load in with like you and Fist to Face and Pops and Griff, can you say like, oh, I want to be 6 hours or 8 hours, or does it tell you have this much playtime and then you have to get out?
That's an interesting question. So when we first, all jumped in, it was assumed, we just kind of assumed, Griff had started his session first and we all joined on him. and we just assumed, okay, we need Griff to be here, but then I and Face jumped in on our own, and we saw that we spawned in right where we had been when we logged out. And you can do that before you have like the log out bed. But yeah, it didn't seem like the timer or any of that was, I don't know, it didn't affect our gameplay. We have yet to see a capsule take off.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're still within that time, I assume. I think we're gonna probably play again tomorrow. I know we're playing Star Citizen tonight. By the way, anybody who wants to join Soul Citizens playing with us tonight, please do so. Join the Discord. There's gonna be a bunch of us in there playing after this show. But yeah, like I think we have yet to encounter that time limit. So they give you a generous amount of time to build up your skills. You do have to, like, I guess a lot of games, you have to build up your skills. You have to kind of like level up so you can get the next layer on the tech tree and all of that. But we've yet to encounter the capsules taking off. Oh,
So-
by the way, if a capsule comes in, it can land on you. It can actually, like, one almost came down on one of us. So watch the skies if you have somebody joining you.
Not only does if it comes down on you, if it comes down even close to you, you'll die from the rocket flames of it coming down. Like, yeah. So I definitely got from the one trailer that it's like the point is you get through this evolution, you go back up, you spend your accumulated resource of whatever fucking quantanium or whatever the rareness anium, and then you use that to get upgraded tech and weapons and tools and whatnot, and then you come back for the next round. So I would be very interested to see once you guys get through this evolution and get back up and are able to spend your weird anium to get the next stuffs, how the second evolution plays out. So yeah, we'll definitely keep up and look into that. It at the very least it looks interesting, and we have to see how it plays out. Rain, you have a point?
Yeah, just to back Jade up real quick. I think the reason why I'm not impressed by this is we have something much more closer to home, and the idea of sending people to settle 140 million miles away on Mars is going to take multiple years. Launches with rovers, reconnaissance, coming up with landing zones, having rovers that are launched in advance to remotely build the settlement before the settlers even get there. And if we're talking about space survival, like, space is beautiful and it's dangerous and it's gorgeous in and of any additional weird gimmicks that we're throwing on it. And as somebody that worked on Kerbal Space Program and talked with, had a lot of good times talking with JPL and working with people from NASA and things like that, like, I don't get why they went this direction. I don't want to bag on it. Dean Hall, ROCKETWORKZ, good team, good group. They know what they're doing, but I'm just really confused why they went this route with it. Is kind of my thing there.
I think they're writing the tale of the whole, what's the Avatar, Pandora, where you go and you get the unobtainium.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going here for this crazy resource. But also, I like the idea. I do like the idea of, like, we're going to terraform X planet. Oh shit, it didn't work. Now what? Like, that's interesting. I don't understand how you have forests full of trees that you can chop down but no oxygen. Like, if you have the thing that will sustain the life of a plant to get it to grow high enough that it's an 80-foot tall redwood, seems to me like that means you've got carbon dioxide in the atmosphere with the right sort of levels of nitrogen that you can create oxygen. But, like, I mean, I'm an idiot. I'm a Marine in my underwear. What do I know? Roy, you're up.
Yeah, it's just a couple quick random things. I mean, to solve for what you just spoke of, I'm reminded of the indie movie Prospect with Pedro Pascal. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a, they're prospecting a planet, and I don't want to give too much of it away. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it.
Netflix.
It's an awesome movie. Totally. But the thing, the mechanism they use is
there's it's like allergens in the air. Like you'll basically go into anaphylactic shock if you take your helmet off. So you're not so much as on an oxygen tank as you are as like kind of like a filter that runs out after a while. So that's how they time it, but still have a lush ecosystem with giant trees and animals and stuff like that. That's how they get around that, and that's scientifically believable.
But wait. So you're saying that like the squirrels and the bears and the deer, they don't have that same allergen?
Because they're native to the planet.
Okay, I dig it.
That's the idea, right? So you're basically allergic to the planet is the premise, or incompatible, biologically incompatible with it to some degree.
Okay.
So maybe that's a workaround. I don't know. The thing I was thinking of too is two other quick things. One, maybe the timer changes as you get into the different biomes. Maybe that's how that works. Because I got the gist from the video that this is sort of like the bunny slope biome that you land in first. And I don't know, the thing, and this is maybe from the Long Dark enthusiasts coming out, but I would love to be able to have like a mode where I'm intentionally missing that ship because I've gotten so good at this. It's almost like an Iron Man, some kind of Iron Man mode where I'm gonna resist whatever comes after that ship takes off, and there'll be some reward for that.
But like, doesn't that mean you're dead? It never comes back and you're dead?
Well, if people are coming back time after time, then you're going to catch the next one, right?
No, well, I mean, if you then you're in a weird sort of The Martian. Where you're in an experience where it's like the next one is coming down in a different location, and you have to find a way to trek over.
Maybe it just seemed to me like it's like a huge challenge, and yes, it's a great challenge to get to the ship and get out. But wow, couldn't it be like a whole next level thing if like I'm intentionally going to miss that ship because I'm prepared.
I'm digging it. All right, we're gonna go with Katie, and then we're moving on to Star Citizen Weekly.
Yeah, just to to mirror what Roy said, really. You could go even simpler than that and just change the composition of the atmosphere. Just have, rather than oxygen deficiency, carbon dioxide toxicity. Just increase the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, so a toxic level, and just say the local life has adapted to it. So regarding the comments about why not do something like settling Mars, that would be really cool. I think that would be really good. But you can't have bears then. You can't kind of. And there are certain other space games that lean heavily on it. No, it's got to be 100% realistic. It's got to be geologically accurate. And well, sometimes some people just want a cool adventure. Just give me a cool adventure. Like, I don't mind if it's not 100% accurate. Just make it a cool adventure.
Katie, how dare you talk shit on Space Invaders that way? I have you know that Galaga was a great game. That takes us to
Star Citizen News.
Wow, I literally programmed all of the transitions during the last video while very, very drunk, and I'm surprised it worked out. So
well done.
Yeah, salute to me. I'm good. Katie, how about you take it away?
So obviously this weekend, the big news story really still is that Xenothreat is ongoing until Sunday, I believe. So if you have not yet contributed or taken part in that event, or you just like to continue taking part in it, it will still be ongoing. I would highly recommend it. I have some minor criticisms about it as opposed to the Ninetales event that we can talk about later on. But it is a really, really great, really interesting event. And I would highly recommend giving it a go if you haven't already. Moving on to the news from CIG this week. We have had a monthly report for August, which covers a range of work carried out in Star Citizen and Squadron 42. AI worker behavior has been added as part of the level design. So this is refining usables like sitting, leaning, inspecting, and cooking to work with the worker behavior. NPC's reaction system has been improved, allowing NPCs to break activity and respond to changes in the environment. Things like if they hear a gunshot, for example, they can stop typing on their computer and react to that. The dealer behavior for the mobile vendor called a dealer has been added. This is a mobile NPC that players can interact with to trade with. Not sure exactly what how mobile they are. Yeah, we don't have details on that, but certainly interesting. And AI content for Pyro's themes of sickness, greed, and poverty were added. Very colourful. AI features, combat scenarios mainly, adding visual perception, field of view to NPCs to accommodate stealth mechanics. So there will be some stealth gameplay coming up soon. The NPC cover system has been improved to a better selecting of cover during firefights by NPCs. AI technology, the Pathfinder, this one is really got me interested. Pathfinder system has been improved to work with planetary navigation mesh tiles, allowing NPCs to move from one planetary location to another, and work also began on automatically generating planetary nav mesh. So this could be the first steps in having NPC encounters on the surface of planets rather than just in bunkers and shipwrecks and things like that. That would that's a major one for me, because my favorite part of the game really is the FPS combat stuff. A feature allowing players to lead a formation of AI ships was added for Squadron 42, but it is said that it should be available in the PU in future as well.
I very much like the idea. So two things. Number one, with regard to the trader, the dealer, which sounds so sketch, but like the way they explained it, they said was you could get one-handed items from the dealer. If you needed a two-handed item, he would or they would direct you to their store nearby. They have like a permanent store. I don't understand, if you own a store, why would you be standing like a Tavarin on the corner with the trench coat and be like, yeah. Hey, want to buy a one-handed gun? I got you. Oh, you want a bazooka? No, go to my store. It's just down the street. Like, but with regard to the there was a second point that I had that was interesting, and what were you just talking about, Katie? Before I hopped in.
We were talking about the Pathfinder system for planetary surfaces.
Well, and the mission system. I very much like the idea of you gain a certain amount of rep with, say, X mission giver in Hurston or Y in Crusader or whatever, and they're like, you need to go do this mission. We're going to give you a flight of 3, Gladius, and you're going to be leading the squadron in your, whatever, Gladius or Connie or whatever. They're going to follow your instructions and like go do this mission, and they like defend you, and basically they act as NPCs that, follow your instructions. You can direct like, attack here, defend there, whatever, and that would be very cool. Take it away, Katie.
I'm kind of on the fence about that one, by the way. I don't know, because I think that it would once again de-incentivize kind of cooperative play a little.
Sure,
maybe.
but I'm not talking about it being a regular thing. I'm saying a very specific mission of once you get to a certain rep, like have a very tailored sort of specific challenge to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the collision avoidance system was improved as well for AI pathing. In the animation team, vendors for illegal goods, food, and drink were worked on. The medical behavior, obviously, for the upcoming patch was worked on. Cowering and surrender behaviors. This is an interesting one. I don't think we've heard much about this in terms of the actual character animation for that. And a mocap shoot for the hygiene cubicle, hacking, navigation, arcade machines, and unwell seating, as well as additional vendors were added.
So two things come to mind there. The first is it's very interesting, the cowering and the whatever. So basically, because they have talked about this obliquely with regard to other mechanisms. So basically, imagine this, Katie. You ram whatever, a hammerhead that you've taken out the engines, now you ram it, or an Idris or whatever. And now you have a mission, right, to go in and or like the 890 jump mission, where there are people in the 890 jump mission. There's like terrorists and then there's hostages, and you go in, and when you do, let's say there are 8 terrorists or tangos, whatever, on enemies on the other ship, right? Let's say 3 of those enemies are hardcore, die hard. They're not going down without being in a bag. 3 of those are good general area sort of soldiers that they're going to follow along with the instructions they were given. So long as they have the upper hand and they have a sort of, in their mind, clear path to victory, they're going to be of high morale, and they're going to sort of fight, until they're overwhelmingly sort of in a position of untenable outcome, in which case they're going to surrender. But 2 of those, and I'm thinking of specifically, if you remember from season whatever of The Expanse, where Bobby Draper is she goes on Mao's ship, and there's that one tech he's like, just don't shoot me, whatever, just hit me and then let whatever. There could be some guys like that where they're like, I'm not really a member of this cause. I'm not a martyr to this cause. I'm just here for the paycheck. Or even, I am a prisoner that was gangplanked into working here. I'm not on this cause. And the second someone with a gun comes in the area, I'm going to be like, no, I'm out. I give up, whatever. I personally had that same situation in Iraq, where you've got guys that are literally like, I give up. Me and my 19 friends surrender. And you're like, I was just trying to take a piss on this side of the fucking berm. And they're still surrendering to you because they just do not want to be a part of whatever's going down. That's a very real thing that happens in life.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool to see in game, certainly. The hygiene cubicle as well. Animations for that. So does that mean hygiene gameplay is coming in the near future?
I mean, it's one of those deals where, we aim to please, and should you fail to aim, don't be a dick. Take a paper towel and wipe up the floor. No. No. But I to me personally, I'm much more interested in the hacking part of that.
Yeah, like I don't want to get too hung up on it, but I kind of like the hacking as it is right now. So I mean, I'll be interested to see where they go with it. I think the current system is like, it's not super involved, but it is incredibly tense.
Oh, you didn't?
And I think that
you haven't seen the stuff that they've.
No, I've not seen any.
Oh my
additions to
god!
that.
They've shown some cool stuff inside Star Citizen or whatever, where they show it's this weird. There's a game. It's not Netrunner. I forget the name of it. It's this weird schematic thing, and there's a very cool looking mini game that goes with it, where it reminds me when they first said they were going to have hacking in Elite Dangerous Odyssey. I was like, oh, this is going to be great, and then yeah. But I am super excited for the hacking, because they've already shown off little snippets of how it works, and you see this like schematic and you follow along, and there's a cool mini game for it. I'm excited.
Okay. Interesting. I will have to look that up after the show, certainly. So character art. There is a replacement apparently coming for the Pembroke armor, the heat resistant armor in the game that's being replaced.
I pray to God. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I pray to God that's a miswording. It's not a replacement. It's in addition to, because I would love to see the Pembroke and the Nabokov or whatever stay there. But then the new one that they showed, that what's his name? The Asian kid that has that great shtick where he goes back and forth with Jared, where they like give each other shit constantly. He's a brilliant artist developer. Jared Lee. Nope, not Jared. Jared is Disco Lando. Jay Lee, whatever. He is like, I love that guy. He's the same guy that did just last week. They did that where they were like, on Friday, they were like, hey, we're gonna like concept art gang in Pyro. And like a month or two back, he did the one where it was that weird like sloth alien creature, whatever. It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's very, very cool. But the idea of this new, they've shown us concept art of this new mesh fabric hot suit that's like super, super, very, very cool. Very just yeah, Jeremiah. I'm very Jeremiah Lee. Very, very excited. Love that guy's work. Love the stuff that they're showing with this special suit.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's very exciting. In addition, with suits, new backpacks, including the Clark Defense Systems brand and one on Doomsday, as well as a rework for existing backpacks, making them modular. It says from 3.15, each new armor will come with a backpack in the same style and will be modular, so you can add it or remove it. Does that mean that previous armors will also be rejigged to have a backpack included? Or when they say new armor, do they mean just every armor coming forward now?
Not explicitly it doesn't mean that, but if you follow along with the way Star Citizen has done their development thus far, yeah, normally when you add a new thing, then you bring all the other stuff up to gold standard eventually.
With regard to ship art, a yet to be announced ship was completed. The Redeemer is approaching the final art completion. Work commenced on the Misk Hull Ace, one of the cargo ships, I believe, close to being white box complete. 2 more unannounced vehicles continued progress through the pipeline. They're both around the grey box stage. Refueling work on the Misk Starfarer was carried out, with the refueling arm now complete. The Crusader A2, this is like the super expensive version of the Starlifter.
It's the bomber version.
The bomber version, exactly, yeah. Past final art review. The Crusader Ares moved through the final art phase, and we'll have more on that later. The Drake Vulture is nearing grey box complete in many of its areas, and an all-new vehicle is almost grey box complete. There's a few in there that there weren't many details on in the report. I don't know if anyone knows anything more than what is indicated there, or these surprises to be revealed at CitizenCon.
That is exactly what those are. You have 1 confirmed out of gray box in final art pass, 2 approaching mid gray box, and 1 in gray box. When you put those together, there is potentially, now this isn't, this is not for sure, this is speculation, but we know we've got both Ares, the Inferno and the Ion, and we've got the A2 that we will be getting presumably before SitCon. So those are 3.15, which we assume, not confirmed, but assume potentially, very much so, wink, wink, before SitCon. We've got 4 separate ships, 1 that is in the final art pass, 2 that are nearing completion of gray box, and 1 that is in gray box. All 4 of those could potentially be in the realm of SitCon. Vulture is like nearing end of gray box, and whatever that could potentially be done before SitCon. Starfarer, the one with the one that has the hair straighteners on the back, could very much is in final art, very much is looking for in SitCon. And me personally, I still have my personal suspicion that we're gonna have an Anvil subcap cap, either Corvette or cap, a capital level or mini cap Anvil ship that's going to be a surprise announcement for SitCon. There's so many possibilities. There's no way all of them are going to happen. That's too many ships. But the point that I'm making is you've got like 8 potential, including the 400i, 100% potential announcements for SitCon. It's excited.
Yeah, totally. So with the audio team, Orison Ambience has been improved with spot effects and new voiceovers and music. Grim Hex Hospital, which is upcoming, voiceovers were recorded. The Mother of All Bombs mechanism, this is the size 10, I believe, bombs that go with the A2 that we just mentioned. The mechanism and explosion effects were added, so that's very exciting. And one that Kai will be happy with, hacking system sound effects were also worked on.
Yes.
There was also a Squadron 42 update with work in the animation team on zero-G traversal, Vandal combat, medical gun self-healing, and some various story scenes, animations for the new head models, and there is a planned upcoming Vandal mocap shoot. Character heads were polished, and crew outfits and uniforms also received some work. The Archon station was worked on, among other things, by the environment team. Various cinematic sequences were worked on. The engine updates. I'm not going to pretend I know what any of this stuff means. I'm just going to read the bullet points, and you guys can check out the full report in the show notes. Physical quantum travel, performance improvements, implementing the Gen 12 renderer. Work on atmospheric and volumetric clouds, allowing ray marching at lower resolutions to improve GPU performance. Cloud shading was improved, and the cloud edges were worked on to give more volumetric feel. Low engine optimizations. Rain, I believe you have something to add to that.
Oh, that was earlier. I was just saying you were with everybody talking about Star Citizen Con. For those of you that this is your first one, you are not prepared.
Oh, I'm certainly not, but it will be an experience, that's for sure. It's my first CitizenCon, and
It's gonna be a blast.
I'm still very, very unsure of like what CitizenCon actually entails, but I'm sure it will be an experience, no doubt. There were some improvements to the scripting setup to the checkpoint tool, additional functionality to the object container streaming. In terms of gameplay and story, the helmet attachment method was updated with various improvements to scenes, and the render to texture system made some progress. So this is rendering a scene to a texture in 3D graphics. Gen 12 work, adding refraction into the GPU particle system, and work on the upcoming fire hazard system. Additional work was also carried out in the narrative, QA, and VFX teams as well, which you can read about in the full report in the show notes.
Beautiful.
So, moving on to the community streams and videos, we have Get Rich or Die Trier, which is September the 3rd. This is core gameplay dev and now newly minted Squadron 42 FPS game director, Rich Tyler, discusses Star Citizen and Squadron 42 development, as well as upcoming changes to the release structure. And Kai, I believe you have something to add on this.
Sure. So Richard Tyrer, amazing developer of the feature team, is now assembling, or moved up to his new position. Yeah, and he said very clearly it's an hour-long phenomenal conversation with him and Jared. It doesn't change. He's still doing the feature team stuff. He's just now sort of the designated owner of that aspect of Squadron 42. And it was very, very cool because what struck me among all of the other stuff, and again, it's an hour-long conversation. I can't sum it all up. But one thing that I think is very, very interesting is he talked about they want to sort of change the nature of how they develop new tech into the project, Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. So, for example, just one example off the top of my head, they introduced body tracking forever ago, but there wasn't really a point to it until in 3.15. It's going to be the first time that body dragging actually sort of has a point as they start to introduce the medical gameplay. They introduced, trolleys, a patch or so ago. Didn't really have a point until you're going to have some trolley gameplay with regard to gurneys and whatnot for medical stuff, and much more so in 3.16 and 3.17 even more. You're going to have sort of trolley and carts and all of those, that aspect of play, that mechanism be important in the game loop of loading cargo onto ships. In 3.17 specifically, we're going to have special hangars, and when you show up and you go and you say, I want to buy all of your whatever, I want to buy your Hadnite, and I'm going to sell it, I'm going to Laranite, whatever, I'm going to send it to this location and I'm going to sell it. It's not going to just be poof, it magically appears in your ship. It's going to appear in a special cargo elevator, which you then take to your hangar and you load the carts onto your ship. There's going to be an aspect of that. So what he was talking about is they want to try to get better at not saying, here's a mechanism, we'll come back to you in a year with the purpose for it. They kind of want to put those closer together so that when people get stuff like body dragging, they're like, we're excited because it has a point. When you get stuff like trolleys, you're excited because it has a point. As it stands right now, let's be honest, trolleys are a good way to murder people, because if there's a trolley nearby and you put something on it, you stand back and wait a few seconds and watch it shake around until it murders everyone in a 50-foot vicinity. The idea is, A, obviously make trolleys not murder machines, and B, make trolleys have a point. So that's kind of what a lot of that discussion was about. I highly, highly recommend. I know that it just came out literally today, but it's the weekend. It's the freaking weekend, baby, and you've got time to watch. So go back and check it out. Link is in the show notes. It's a very cool conversation. Back to you, Katie.
We also had Inside Star Citizen Ship Trip Summer 2021 on September 2nd. John Crew comes in for a throwback ship-shaped styly chat. It talks about the Drake Vulture that is finishing at White Box and moving on to Grey Box. You'll see it coming online sometime next year, along with the first version of ship-based salvage. Good news for Reclaimer owners, I think. The Ares, Ion, and Inferno are completing Grey Box and moving into final art pass. Those are some incredible anti-capital ship fighters, essentially heavy fighters with an anti-capital ship focus. Very large, size 7 weapon on those. I believe we have an asset to show you, just to give you an idea of what these ships are about.
Mm-hmm. And we will get to that after this part.
The Gladius was mostly gold standard in 3.14, but will be completely gold standard in 3.15, as will the Saber. Expect to hear more at SitCon. The Aegis Redeemer is completing final art pass and entering release prep phase. The sprint report from Jared, 3 new laser-based weapon concepts, SMG, LMG, and long gun. They showed off the EU PU feature team's progress on laser trip mines. Very exciting. 3 new locations coming to Orison in 3.151. Cousin Crows being one of them. Got a little show off. This location will eventually allow for modification of paint jobs, so I can finally have purple camouflage on every ship. Components and room modules. As in the modular caterpillar. Another location getting upgraded is Crusader Showroom. Showed off lighting in the barracks of various cities in Stanton and Levski, with a pointed shout out. Come back to us, Levski.
That was literally the words of Jared Disco Lando in the thing. He's like, come back to us, Levski. I don't think they let him say that and they don't edit it out. Unless they know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that's us saying, Levski's coming back soon. Stanton, or Pyro and Nick soon. TM.
There was a glass window shader for buildings. The UI tech team shows off the self-service hospital services. Again, coming next patch. Very exciting to see the hospitals coming into the game. As well, they showed off robotic limb variant concepts. Robotic limbs, like that is certainly a very interesting concept.
Very, very cool. They showed off like a dozen variants of robotic arms and legs, as well as what the robotic arms and legs would look like in, short sleeve shirts, or like how it looks like in pants with the boots, and what, like, can you see it, can you not? Very, very interesting stuff, all of it. I want to real quick highlight Asset 7 that we had, just so people, you know, sort of see it. This is the This Week in Star Citizen schedule, and it pointed to the stuff that was, you know, the monthly report, the Squadron 42 report, the Inside Star Citizen, the Star Citizen Live from today, and it also points to all this weekend Xeno Threat returns, baby! All right, let's get to the community videos. Katie, you ready for me to show off some Crusaders Ares, what you and I are getting?
I am very, very excited for you to show this stuff. Yeah, as you say, I've got the Inferno, you've got the Ion. Together, we will be a dream team when it comes to taking down big capital ships and sub-capital ships in Star Citizen. So here we go. Yeah, this is going to be the Ares, Inferno, and Ion.
Please do enjoy.
In conjunction with Bearing, we are currently crafting the most devastating Size 7 mountable ship cannon ever devised. The SF-7, being prototyped in both ballistic and laser configurations, is specifically designed to incapacitate capital-class vessels. Of course, with a weapon so refined, the task at hand is to try and design an equally sophisticated ship to wield it. Even with this prototype, Crusader is up to the task.
Oh, Chris Roberts, shut up and take my money.
It's really, really is something, isn't it? It really, really is. And to give you an idea of what that ship is designed to combat, we're going to show another asset now, the Aegis Hammerhead commercial. And this is, like, barring special events, this is really the kind of target ship for the Ares class of heavy fighter.
Here we go.
Everyone enjoys stories about daring naval pilots flying for our freedom and battle-hardened captains leading the charge. But for every Cal Mason and Admiral Bishop out there blowing things up, there are dozens of unsung heroes who are just as worthy of our praise and admiration. And today, here at Conrad Naval Station, Galactic Tour is going to sing an unsung song. Meet Gunner's mate, Alfonso Lang. A master craftsman in his own right, Starman Lang is in charge of lovingly caring for the deadly armament aboard the UEES Thresher. Every day they're not getting shot at, Alfonso EVAs across the entirety of this 100-meter-long Aegis Hammerhead to visually inspect the dozens of guns and missile launchers that make this patrol ship such a formidable foe. Optics, targeting systems, mount connections, head threading, even lubrication levels all must be checked, rechecked, and meticulously maintained. Basically, all the worst parts of operating really big and powerful guns. It's like if you wanted an elephant for a pet, Alfonso would be the guy go, yeah, that's great, but what the hell are you going to feed it? With the aid of advanced diagnostic tools, each of the turrets must be correctly calibrated, so that when the gunners fire at a swift-moving target, say a squad of fighters or an incoming torpedo, they actually shoot it down instead of the gun jamming and blowing up in their face. If the Aegis Hammerhead is a sleek shark patrolling the dangerous waters, then Alfonso is the remora stuck to its armoured belly, making sure this dangerous predator stays that way. And I, for one, am damn glad to know he's there. Starman Lang, we here at Galactic Tour salute you.
Oh, Space Jeremy Clarkson, you're so much less troublesome than the real one. Katie, how about I bring up this image and you can talk a little bit about the awesome sort of size disparities of the various capital class ships that we have thus far in Star Citizen.
It has been quite a revelation to me personally with Xenothreat recently, seeing the Javelin, for example, which even in that image looks incredibly small compared to the Retribution there. The Javelin makes even what I consider to be extremely large ships like the 890 Jump, the Carrack, even the Idris look very small in comparison. So it has been a revelation for me this week to see even larger ships up close. But to give anyone who's more familiar with Elite Dangerous an idea of the scale here, the 890 Jump that you can see in the lower left of the image there, that is about the size of a Anaconda in Elite Dangerous, if I'm not mistaken. Approximately about the same size. So the ships and the flyable ships at that scale in Star Citizen is really quite something.
It looks like you could put about 10. Look at, okay, in the very center, second row from the bottom, look at the Cutlass. It looks like you could put like 10,000 of them inside of that Retribution.
Oh yeah, totally.
That Cutlass looks like an ant compared to Shaquille O'Neal next to the Retribution. It's crazy. All right, Katie, let's round up the community stuff for Star Citizen.
So we had a video from Super Mac Brother, which featured blind quantum travel gems, Gen 12, the Gen 12 renderer, NPCs, Planet Side, and Spider Miners, as well as a Squadron 42 update. That link will be included in the show notes. I highly recommend giving it a watch because it's very interesting stuff. Finally, for the community stuff, we have the Urkel DPS calculator. This is, if you've been familiar with Elite Dangerous, it's basically Star Citizen's equivalent to Coriolis or EDSM, in that you can set up ships, put different components in, see how they affect the stats. You can see where you can purchase the components, which is very important. As in Star Citizen, obviously not everything is purchasable at one location. You need to move around different places. So this will let you know where things are available, how they affect your ship's performance, how much they cost, and you can save ship loadouts, you can share ship loadouts. It's one of the most useful utilities available for Star Citizen when it comes to trying out different ship loadouts and seeing what works for you. The link is in the show notes. There is it's really kind of intuitive actually. When I started using it, it was immediately kind of familiar, coming from something like Coriolis in Elite Dangerous to this. Felt very intuitive. But you can just enter your ship. There's a little drop down in the top left, I believe, if you're looking at the main screen. A little drop down, you just select whatever ship you want to outfit, and then you've got all of the components and weapons listed in the center and right side of the screen.
And just like with Coriolis, you have the little power triangle, so you can sort of adjust the settings and see, okay, what would be would be your different characteristics of all of that. I want to call out, I want to clarify this for the record, because there's a lot of confusion where some people are like, is it Urkel? Is it DPS? What's DPS and what's Urkel? They're the same thing. Some people call it Urkel. Some people call it the DPS calculator. If you go to the website, it says DPS calculator, but the actual, what is it, HTTP fucking link thing,
the link,
whatever they call it at the top, it says Urkel, ERKUL dot blah blah blah, and it goes from there. So it's because I've heard multiple people that are newer to the project be confused on, well, you said Urkel and then you said DPS calculator. Which one is it? It's the same thing.
You know what? I've never noticed that actually. I've just been calling it Urkel because someone referred to it as Urkel to me. I wonder if there's a story behind that.
No clue. I just know that it's one thing, and it tends to confuse some of the newer people to the project. So I wanted to call it out so that just people knew, like, oh, okay, I'm hip now. I get it. It's the same thing. Katie, why don't you lead us into our discussion on Star Citizen?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the current group of Star Citizen dynamic events having recently occurred with Ninetales, the lockdown, and currently ongoing with the Xeno threat, I wanted to discuss with you guys any observations or feedback about the current events that we've had and any future event ideas that you think would be cool to see within Star Citizen. I will get the ball rolling, I suppose, with an event idea that I think would be maybe kind of interesting. And that would be if there was a siege, maybe on a ground-based settlement within the game, one of the major cities. You could have ground combat in the perimeter of the city, ships bringing supplies down from orbit, maybe some space combat above. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on current and future ship events. Kai.
So I very much like. We have two events that we have details on thus far, and one event that we have quasi details on. So, Xenothreat was a phase 1, notify the area, get ready. Phase 2, fight off some enemy ships. Phase 3, go to sort of derelict wreck ships, whatever, get shit off of them and get it back to a designated point, understanding that some of the stuff is quantanium sensitive or like quantum jump sensitive. Some of the stuff is time sensitive. Some of the stuff is shake sensitive. And then phase 4, do a combat event where you take your sort of repaired ship and you take it into battle against another group. I love that. With regard to the Ninetales event, there is a blockade aspect. There is a PvP aspect. I like that. I think we've only seen version 1 of it, and it was a little. There. Let's put it this way: there was some room for improvement. But when I look at how good Xenothreat Mark II was versus Xenothreat Mark I, I'm very much hopeful and very much believing that Ninetales Mark II will be vastly improved in a lot of ways, where it will seem less clunky. It won't be as hard to find medical supplies. There will be more opportunities, whatever. The third event that we've heard details on is Jumptown version 2. Jumptown version 1 was a very cool sort of, it happened organically thing. Jumptown version 2 is going to be different in that it's going to be, seems like they're going to announce it, which is going to kind of change a lot of whatever. Kind of what I would like to see more of with Jumptown version 2, or probably Jumptown version 3 as it progresses, is I would like to see it be a dynamic thing where it's not necessarily in Jumptown, that it could be in Bezdek one day, and the next day in Jumptown, and the next day in, some area outside of Levski, the next day, some area in near Ruin and Pyros, and the next day some area, random spot in, Ariel and in Hurston. What I would like to see it move around so that it kind of has more of a randomy kind of player-made sort of feel. The fourth one that we know only one thing about, and that's the name, is called Infiltrator. I think the main thing that I would like to point out where I would like to see these events going forward, I'm very gratified by what they're doing. I'm very hopeful that it will continue to improve. What I very much want to see is two important aspects tied to the events. Number one, I want to see it tied to the dynamic system that they have for reputation. I'd like to see it access that and make for interesting ways of tailoring a game event. And number two, I want to see the event access the loot system to provide for interesting and rewarding outcomes. I know that that's very, very vague, and I'd like to give other people the opportunity, to come in with sort of detailed whatever, but this is sort of a general feeling of what I have on the events. Roy?
Yeah, so I agree with all that. I would add, and granted, I've only had about 20 seconds of Xenothreat gameplay so far due to a comedy of errors across the last 2 gaming sessions. But the thing that I thought was neat about this one that I'd like to see expanded was the whole idea of starting with, moving cargo, then going into a combat phase. Is I'm wondering if they could head towards more of a continual dynamic thing where instead of the same cohort, like if there's a cargo phase and then a fight phase, instead of the same cohort going through those, you could actually interact with the thing and stay at one of those phases while others were doing the other phase. So I like the idea of having more and more of the logistics of battle and support roles being represented as it maybe moves towards a big sort of battle set piece kind of event. That's I guess what I would look forward to. Is it's certainly worthy to have a cohort move through all the different stages so you get to try all the stuff, but I'd also like to see it where you could specialize and work really well on one of those phases, and that's how you interact with it because you choose to use the ship that's got the, that was built for that role and the gear that was built for that role and so forth.
Yeah, you could have, for example, maybe while the battle is ongoing, the kind of logistics side of it is also ongoing and is needed to provide something to the combat, the combat efforts, if you will. Rain.
I think what I'm looking forward to is having, and for those that haven't been with the project as long as I have, you probably won't know a lot about like the DGS and the hybrid layer and the service layers and systems and things like that. But I suggest, there's a video by Tony Z. The man is absolutely brilliant talking about their version of the BGS, the simulation that, some of us are used to dealing with that kind of stuff in Elite. For me, what I want to see is events that happen because of the dynamic universe and the background simulation. That's what I want to see more than anything. I had a blast hanging out with the skunks. I was on a Carrack, having a good time. I actually think I was in the last video. And that's great. Xenothreat's great. Jumptown, cool. Like all that stuff's cool. But give me a living, breathing world that says there's some pirate activity here because a lot of people were mining here. So now there's an event that says show up and either help the pirates or show up and fight against the pirates. Not because we did a fully voice acted, all kinds of scripted nonsense, which is great. It's not nonsense, but it's the only word I can think of. But because the world had something happening and the world told me and I chose to go there and be a part of it. That's what I want in the future. That's what I can't wait for in the next, the rest of this year or next year, seeing where they go with integration of the dynamic background simulation that they're building to build us a truly living, breathing world that we can interact with, that interacts with us, and that we can affect and change.
So say we all.
So say we all.
I completely agree, and just to add to that, like you say that the events of the verse, events of Stanton for now, I suppose, should trigger different events and things. I think that one of the linchpins that will need to be made to, if not work completely, at least have kind of support for, and this goes for the upcoming inventory and ship inventory systems as well, is persistence over crashes, because 30Ks right now, with the upcoming inventory changes, if they're expecting people to store things on their ship and keep everything on the ship and only have access to what they have on them, if you lose that every time you get a 30K, that is really going to suck. Like, they're going to need to at the very least have ship persistence over 30Ks. And I think the same for like the state of the system, the state of missions, the state of your progress in those areas would need to be persistent over crashes to really have an impact. I completely agree with you though, that a living, breathing system that creates those events dynamically would be outstanding. Jade.
Yes, I just want to, sort of back up what both of you have said about this having more of a living, breathing feel based on events that are happening, both that we see and ones that are being, simulated by quantum in the background. I know that one thing personally I would like to see would be other game mechanics integrated into these dynamic events. For instance, they've done a ton of work on mining and refining. And I'd love to see an event where that ends up being like the centerpiece of the event. For instance, like ArtCore in lore is usually tied with Hurston as being the worst employer in the universe. And they also have mining operations, as you've probably seen on several of the moons. Perhaps their workers have gone on strike, and miners are, like scab miners are called in to do that. It's going to be highly profitable. It would move from mining outpost to mining outpost, materials spawning around them that would be easily accessible by people with rocks or whatever. And then the component of that that's combat is you'd have to have people to protect the miners. You'd have to have people that are fighting the people that didn't want you to, like cross the picket line. There could be a lot of things like that they integrate some of the other gameplay that they put into the game, into the dynamic events that would be based on like that quantum simulation. Perhaps the economy in Stanton has gone down. ArtCore doesn't really want to pay their workers, to keep pace with it. And so, yeah, something like that, like where again the universe would then feel more living, breathing. Something that has happened then triggers something else that didn't trigger something else. I would love to see that.
I absolutely love that idea, that mining scenario that you just brought up, the entire thing. I absolutely love it. Think of the possibilities. You could have rocks mining with ballistas in support, and ships patrolling overhead, and moles fully crewed. That would be incredible. Yeah, absolutely
on the
amazing.
ground with rail guns and rocket launchers. Who wouldn't love that?
Outstanding idea. Absolutely outstanding. Could not agree with you more. More of the gameplay mechanics should be brought into these events. 100%. Kai.
So a couple of things. Number one, I want to bring up from the chat, somebody's like, you guys are forgetting to mention the fact that they're starting to sneaky improve stuff for when you have a 30K. Sometimes you load back in with your stuff. Just to clarify, we talked about it last week. It is awesome. You cannot count on it yet, but it's very neat that it's starting to happen. With regard to cool ideas for events that I would like to see, I would like to see a special dynamic event that happens that's a search and rescue or something where there's a sort of either one ship that is, out there or be like a convoy of ships that something happens and now they all need rescue. They all, and so it's basically a similar thing to the Xeno threat where you're going to different derelict ships and loading up on boxes, but you're loading up on people to rescue them. You can tie that into medical play.
Stole my idea.
I would love to see an idea of how you talked about that mining event of how Hurston, they're sort of dicks to their people. I would love to see a belter loader series of events where Hurston is cracking down on their workers. And you can, dynamic events happen. And dynamic event 1 is you can choose to side with Hurston or the oppressed peoples. And the reward is better for Hurston. So people, you know, the greedy assholes will go with Hurston because they're like, I get more money. But the people that do the sort of belter loader side, that the oppressed people side, you get some kind of a rep. And then a second event happens and it's similar. And then a third event happens and it's similar. And then the fourth event happens. And when the fourth events happen, the people that chose the money payoff for the last 3 events, they're sort of out of the loop, because now there's a dynamic event happens where the belter loader side, they're offering a cool reward, a unique paint job, a unique skin, a unique gun, a unique something that people, it will reward the people who chose what was right instead of what was self profiting on the last 3. I don't, maybe I'm a dreamer. I've whatever, but like, wouldn't that be cool where there's a series of sort of moral choices, and at the end of it, when it's too late to go back and change your mind, now you see what the actual real payoff is? Because that's how life works to me. You can go the easy route and you can make a buck off of screwing other people, but in the end, karma will get you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Jade, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. No, I was just making a quick comment. I absolutely love that idea, Kai.
I agree. Amazing idea, yeah. You're right, because that is how life works. Like, you don't know the outcomes to decisions as you're making them. Oftentimes you find out a long time later that there are consequences. Well, regarding what you said about the loading back in after a 30k, I have had situations where I have loaded back in at the location where I crashed with the mission still active even. But like you say, it's all about the reliability. It's like with bed logging at the minute, right? Bed logging works most of the time in my experience, but because it doesn't work all of the time, you don't really do it because you don't want to do a character reset. You don't want to go through the trouble of getting all your certs again. So unless something is specifically like reliably working, I don't think people will make a lot of use of it. And if our inventories are now tied to ships going forward, it could cause potential problems, or it could just cause a lot of frustration when you crash out and you got to load your ship back up again. You got to put everything back in it, or maybe you've lost everything. You know, we don't know how exactly the system's going to work just yet.
Katie, I have it on good authority from Facebook that you are a paid shill from CIG, yeah. So I can't trust what you say.
Well, my check is a little bit late this month, so I can say some bad things until obviously that clears.
Wow, Katie.
Rain.
First of all, I want to say to Kai, oye, Beltalota. Beltalota. You gotta say it right, man.
Mm-hmm.
Acting like you're in your loader up in this joint. Oye, Beltalota. You gotta say it right. I'm disappointed in you. Sorry, I'm just giving you crap.
Hell yeah.
But I wonder how many Expanse fans we get in chat. Oye, Beltalota. Anyway, one of the things that you were talking about search and rescue too is, and everybody else talking about bringing gameplay in, is we're getting medical gameplay. Why not have us respond to a disaster? An actual, where we're going, like you said, a site like a ship crashed on planet and people are going out there in Cutlass Reds and Blues and
a burning station, perhaps.
Or a burning station where we're actually pulling people off the station.
Yeah.
That are just numbers, And we had to have a little bit of that salt tonight, just a little tiny bit of it.
All right, how about this for an idea? Ready? Oh shit! I took a drink and I forgot what the idea was. It was good. It was.
We believe you, Kai.
Oh, I remembered what it was. Okay, so look. Okay, I'm not gonna get real world political here. That's not what we're about. Okay, but let's look for a moment. Let's examine Xenothreat. What is Xenothreat? I mean, Xenothreat is racism, ignorance and hatred of the other, violent extremism. And when you get right down to it, the idea was that the Messer regime was this sort of North Korean authoritarian regime that was an empire that was a thing that was based on racism, hatred, xenophobia. It was based on keep the other at bay, abuse your own population, and tell them that they're supposed to be afraid of the other, which the other didn't have any feelings towards them, good, bad, or otherwise. The other didn't give a shit about them, but that wasn't the point. The point was, if I keep my boot on you and keep you down, and then tell you you're supposed to be afraid of the other instead of me, you know, sort of stupid rednecks will believe it and will sort of give me the authority to screw them over while somehow claiming that it's someone else that's at fault. I think a certain amount of xenothreat, if you look at Iraq after whatever, and again, sorry for going into real world shit, but there was a certain amount of the insurgency in Iraq that was just parts of the Saddam Hussein regime or whatever that had gotten displaced and they didn't like being out of power, and this was their way to get back into power. If you look at that as a model for thinking about what xenothreat is, what if xenothreat is a bunch of old-fashioned racist assholes that were part of the Mesher regime who didn't like losing power and didn't like that Terra took over and supplanted, you know, the Mesher dynasty of things or whatever, and this is their way of basically being that asshole that is like shitty to Mexicans and Asians or whatever and Islamic people because it's like, they took our jobs. Like, what if you had some interesting play that the storyline of Xenothreat sort of goes along and comes out even more, and you see some of the very realistic face of what intolerance looks like, whether that be Islamophobia, Asian phobia, or hatred, or whatever, in the form of COVID bullshit, transphobia, gay phobia, Mexican phobia, black phobia, whatever phobia it is. Like, let's look head on at what this whole like dirty xenothreat, racist, terrorist, hatred-filled thing is. And what if they were to craft a story that actually got into kind of it told a story that lets you experience that and lets you get face to face with the other and see. So yeah, exactly. Trey York in chat, thank you very much, Roy, for bringing it up. Alienation told that story. The old movie of Alienation told that story sort of so well, so interesting, in a way of like, let's look at hatred for what it is and let's stand up for it, stand up to it in a way that is just, I don't know. Now I feel like I wandered off into a fucking political rant, and I'm not trying to be that. I don't know. My mind wandered on that. Sorry. Somebody take over.
I will, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Oh, please, go ahead.
So yeah, I agree, Kai. And one of the things that I think has made the Star Trek franchise endure has been the fact that they are willing to take on these type of issues and cast them in a completely alien, futuristic setting that allows people to look at them in perhaps a new and different way than they're used to. Bringing it back to Star Citizen, I don't think it's any coincidence that we've had this second Xenothreat campaign in the backdrop of the election of an imperator, in the case of Leilani Addison, that wants to have much better relations with the rest of the universe, with the Xi'an specifically. And the fact that her ambassador to the Xi'an Empire, who was Xi'an, has been rejected by the Senate. So there's xenophobia in the Star Citizen unit, in the UEE, because it has not been that long since the Mesher regime. So that's fairly realistic in terms of where we are in the Star Citizen universe right now is not that far removed from the Messers, which, as you said, were a fascistic dynasty spanning centuries. So that's reflected in how the Senate has treated Addison and her ambassador candidate, and it's also reflected in the fact that Xenothreat has these capital ships. They seem to have like an endless supply of them. They're getting them from somewhere. They're clearly well supported among some of the populace. And, they are a violent insurrectionist terrorist group that want basically UEE citizens to overthrow the legitimate government and replace it with themselves, which are basically neo-Messerites. So, yeah.
They take your jibs, but on a galactic level.
Exactly.
Right on. Does anybody have anything else for this? Or Katie, do you have any other? If you have another Star Citizen point, I'd love it.
Would like to add one more positive about the events, specifically Xenothreat, in fact, which is that there were a lot of ships in the game. There were a lot of ships that have specific roles, and the Retaliator bomber. I'd been in one before. I'd crewed one with some of the other skunks before. We'd taken out bounty hunting, and you have a fun time. You take out some hammerheads. Sometimes you hit them, sometimes you don't. But I never really kind of really understood the purpose of that ship until that battle in Xenothreat, where you've got all of the fighters engaged with the other fighters, and the capital ships engaging each other, and then you're in this bomber, and you're lining up for your torpedo shots against the capital ship, and the tension as you release that torpedo, and it's flying towards the target, and you're watching it trail towards the target, and the huge elation when you get a hit because you're doing real damage with those torpedoes, and the kind of the sigh when you miss. I thought it was amazing to see an event that really highlighted what a ship is, what its purpose is like that. And as Jade said, I would love to see more events focusing on other areas of the game that will then highlight specific ships and their roles and what they can be used for. I now own a Retaliator, by the way. That's what that event did. That's what that experience did for me. I would just like to see that, more of that in future, definitely. More variety of activities, more of the mechanics in use. For me personally, and I'm biased here, way more FPS combat, please. I'd love to see some dynamic events that are. I know we've had the little bits of FPS combat in the Star Fairs and things like that. I'd love to see a lot more of that. And with the news about the planetary navigation for AI, maybe that's coming. Hopefully, I'd love to see it. I think that the current round of dynamic events have been successful, and I'm looking forward to more.
Can I suggest one last thought on dynamic events? 20 people at a time, and you can, so a maximum of 20. If 5 sign up, then it's a 5-person thing. If 20 sign up, then it's a 20-person thing. If 21 sign up, well, last guy's ass out. Shit happens. But you go to a location where there'll be a galaxy-wide thing, a system-wide thing saying, come to Bezdek and sign up, right? You go, you sign up at the little office, the little whatever at Bezdek, or an office at one of the little stations or someplace. And then you wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes till the event starts. And when the event starts, you're in a tumbril, at an unknown location, so you had no chance to scope it, and it's you and anywhere from 2 other people to 20 maximum are in stalls. And then you see 3, 2, 1, the front of the gate opens, and there's a finish point that is on all of your maps, and it's a race, and it could be any one of, who knows, 50 different random courses. So you can't, it's not like you have an advantage because you know the course. It is what it is. The thing lifts, take off and go. Let's have some race events. Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be interesting. Definitely.
Just a thought. All right. Katie, do you have anything else for Star Citizen discussion topic?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Right on. Well, that takes us to, where's the sound effect button? It's right here.
No Man's Sky News.
All right. Frontiers update dropped. We have in the show notes the announcement. We have the patch notes. And we have what is coming to you right now, which is the trailer. Please to enjoy. Procedural interiors. Planetary settlements. 250 plus new base parts. Town NPC simulation. Become settlement overseer. 15 plus save slots. Monstrous companions. Improved visual effects. More save discoveries. New Twitch campaign. Season 3 expedition. Space Sky Nebula. Base building overhaul. Settlement management. Grow settlements. Defend settlements. Solve disputes. God damn. All right. Yeah, there's a lot there. So, in addition to that, we've got Survival Bob, the No Man's Sky Frontiers patch notes reading live with Bob. It's an hour long, gives you a full breakdown of the stuff, the nitty gritty of the update. And I want to call out Nexus Mods has a shorter settlement timers. It decreases the wait time on your settlement stuff 10x. So if it's like, you got to wait 2 hours, well, now you got to wait 12 minutes. You got to wait, a day. Well, now you got to wait like whatever, an hour. It's good stuff. 2.5 hours. There you go. I can do math. I'm not that drunk. Lots and lots of good stuff. Rain, hop in.
So I want to do a little bit of positive with my negative.
All right.
Play the update. Love the update. Love what No Man's Sky is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Positive part I want to put out is this is on the back end, probably the largest update they've ever done. And Sean even said that this gives them a lot of opportunities to continue the journey. Our journey continues, right? And I'm really looking forward to that. but I have questions like, why can we only have one settlement? What is the technical or game design reasoning there? And something else that I'm not so much a fan of is when you bring a new system into the game and it does not have any feature parity with all the other systems. So if our spaceships and our exosuit and our tool and our freighters all have the slots and stuff like that, why didn't settlements? Why do I get two choices of a building? Why don't I get like a top-down view and like a plot, and then I get to put what building goes in that plot? I'm just kind of confused about that. But overall, to compliment Sandwich here, I really love this because now, like, I'm really stoked for the fact that, well, hey, in space stations, you can walk up to the thing and it says insert a thing. Eventually, maybe we can own space stations, you know, and Sean talking about, hey, we have the opportunity to really do some like even more cool stuff. Like, are we going to get another really big update at the end of this year? I'm looking forward to a lot. So all in all, just well done to Hello Games, No Man's Sky, Sean, the team. Just well done. Good job.
Huge salute to them. Number one, I want to highlight the fact this is their 17th free update. 17 free updates. All of them weighty. This one more so than several others. As you said, there is a ton on the back end that got upgraded here. Number one, 15 more save slots. Before they had 4, now they have 15. And they've done a lot of stuff on the graphics involved in here. With regard to the whole settlement thing, it's very much, to me, it reminds me of sort of the Kingmaker campaign from Pathfinder, where it's like there's a whole sort of build up your city. And as far as you saying, like, well, how come you can't have more than one? I think it's designed, at least at first, that way. Who knows if it's that you can only have one? It's that you can only have one right now. Maybe after you get one settlement to max level, you're able to move on to another. Or maybe at that point that unlocks the thing with the station in the corresponding system. Or maybe, I don't even know where it's going. But there's a lot there. If you look in the store, if you go to the anomaly and you go to the back where the store is, where they have all the extra stuff, there is literally like 400 plus new things. So you're going to be getting salvage data for a long ass time to unlock all this new stuff. There's posters and there's all kinds of furniture and there's new building materials and there's new everything. They did a massive revamp to where how all of the base building works, where it's new menu systems that let you see a lot more, let you craft a lot more at the same time. There is so much there. Where it's going, I don't know, but like the resolving disputes between your people is cool. You can send your people out on expeditions. I saw there was one part where after you do enough, like you do expeditions among your, not you, among your personnel, among your citizens of your settlement, you back them and they go on expeditions. And one of them was they were going out to unlock new animal companions. It's like, wait a second, my citizens can have animal companions? How does that change whatever with me? We have not seen Expedition 3 yet, but if you go right now to the anomaly and you go to the Quicksilver vendor guy that does the stuff, you already see the rewards for that expedition, which is forthcoming. One of which is like there's housing items. There's a thing where it sprays out like bubbles, like a bubble machine. Whenever you use your jetpack, where like bubbles come out of it, it looks funny. There is an egg where you can hatch one of those little void enemy little fuckers, that the little flathead alien babies that come out of those eggs, the black eggs, and you can have one of those as your pet. There's lots of cool shit, and it's so much, and so much of it is back in that we don't even see yet. I am so stoked to see where this is going. Roy, you put in a dot like an hour ago. Hop in on this, brother.
So yeah, I downloaded the Frontiers update, and first off, I was pleasantly surprised to see that my keyboard remapping mod still worked. I did have to, the normal thing, you delete the disable mods.txt file because I guess it puts that back in each patch. So that was just a simple thing. I'm still working my way through the beginning quest chain. I'm not sure if I'm going to run into any settlements naturally, or if I have to finish that first before they're available.
You have to get to the anomaly, Roy.
Okay. All right. So I'll get to see that after that. The thing I was wondering, looking at the graphics for the, this expanded library of building parts and such, is it just me, or did the graphics get a little bit less garish? Less Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, and maybe a little bit more in the direction of like Kerbal Space Program. It's still playful and whimsy, but not quite so neon and way over the top.
Huh. Well, you're talking to colorblind boy, so I've got no fucking clue. But it is a reoccurring theme where on at least 5 times now over the course of No Man's Sky, they have upgraded their graphics to be better, or at least what many people concern to be better at one point or another. So, I mean, the Prisms update 3.15, the last update before this current one, they had a whole massive thing in there about how the graphics were better. Yeah. So wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Rain.
5 years down the road, and this update has shown me that Sean and the team are still just as dedicated, and as they say at the end of every trailer, our journey continues. I can't wait for that journey to continue. I want to see what's coming next. If they can do things like this now, what happens next? Do we get maybe some updates to planet scaling so they're a little bit bigger? Do we get some actual rotation? And because they updated the skybox to show like all the stars and stuff instead
and
of
those
being fake.
nebulas. Yeah.
And the nebulas are gorgeous. They're so amazing. So I think this is going to be another foundational update like Foundations was, and I really want to see what's coming next. I really do.
I'm just excited to see something come out with the name Frontier attached to it that doesn't bum me out. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a cheap... You know what? Wait, hold on. I need to apologize. I need to apologize because I am trying very hard to not be that guy with Frontier. So, apologies. I retract that statement. It was me attempting to be funny. Whatever. Yeah. There's a lot there that is very, very interesting. I'm excited. I think on September 9th, we're going to see maybe a new expedition that maybe ties into the 55th anniversary of Star Trek on that day. Maybe? Question mark? Who knows? I would love to see it. Give me a red shirt. Give my guy a red shirt. That's cool. Yeah. There's a lot there. I'll be honest, me personally, and I'm not trying to be shitty. I love No Man's Sky. I absolutely love it. I was super hoping for a big invasion, a big Jem'Hadar style invasion of the other, coming in and whatever, and then we have to go, not only do we have to fight them off to protect our land, but we also have to, we have to go through to the upside down and stop them from their side. I think that would be a super, super cool. I see somebody in chat saying, where's my boy Tweaks? So Tweaks is not here tonight because he got a cold. His kid's babysitter or something gave him a cold, and his whole family, his whole house, they have a cold and whatever, and he's losing his voice, and he was super, super bummed because it just hit him today and he wanted to be here. And Wolf is not here because he is out with the wife visiting his parents out of state. So yeah, that's why we have me, Roy, and Katie, and then we have our two guests. So that's how we ended up with Ladies Night. But yeah, I wanted to see a sort of invasion story on because they've talked about this like weakening boundary between like interdimensional whatever at those weird things where it's the sideways Stargate, not the functional Stargate, but the weird one that like so far has no purpose. It just says it's a weak boundary area or whatever. I would love to see something like that, but like this is very, very cool. I don't mean to be a jerk and like be not thankful for what we have here, because this is awesome and I am dying to play with it more and to grow my base and to see what happens. And next week's show of Black Sky Legion, we're going to have for you the actual final decision details of, we've confirmed it, we've checked around of all of our top places after they did these changes or whatever, and now we for sure know this is the location of our base, and we're going to make a party planet where we're going to invite all of you, come and build a base somewhere on that planet, and we're going to just end up with a base with like 100, or a planet with like 100 bases on it, and we're going to just randomly go check people's bases out and like raid them. We're going to do like group get together. We're going to figure out shit, and it's going to be cool, and trust me, it'll be good. So yeah, we will have all of that and more next week. No Man's Sky discussion topic is just the frontier hype and speculation on what's to come. I want to go around from top to bottom and have everybody have a chance to at least chip in one more thing if you haven't already. Roy, do you have anything else you want to chip in on this and speculation for what's to come with this expedition?
Well, I mean, I've got very little experience with this game, so not too deep of speculation. I'm just excited to build a base. You know, I think I've seen it in the chat as well. There's some neat sort of Fallout 4 vibe, but better. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Katie.
I enjoy the base building in No Man's Sky. Again, like Roy, I have very, very little experience with the game, but what I have experienced, I've enjoyed. So if they're, adding to that, that can't be anything but a good thing.
Jade.
Oh my goodness. I played the hell out of this game. I pre-ordered it back in 2016. I played the hell out of it between 2016 and 2018. I mean, this was my first space game, and then that led me to Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen as a result. And this is the first time since then where I'm like, oh, I really need to get back into No Man's Sky. So yeah.
Right on. And Rain.
127 short hours, and probably next week I'll have another good 40 or 50. I'm looking forward to really getting into this and seeing what the end game with settlements is, and then, like I've said a couple times already, I already stoked for what can possibly come next.
Awesome. And my final thought on it is going to be, I love Nominski. And that takes us to Elite Dangerous. Where's the thing for it? Hold on, let me find it. Crap, there's a lot of buttons here. We go do this, and then we do this.
Elite Dangerous News.
Okay.
Wait, actually, hold on. I want to do this one too, because I got a button. We're going to start off with...
It's the Dark Wheel update.
Okay. I might just have too many buttons, but go ahead.
I'm going to cover the Dark Wheel update for Wolf since he's out. Three quick things here. First off, BD18 3106, the Dark Wheel is at war for control of the system. We really want to make this system fly the flag, and after it's won, we want to continue to climb to at least 60% influence. And second up in the Yukui system, the Dark Wheel won the war for number 3, and we're trying to continue to climb there as well. And last, there's some other work to do around the Dark Wheel space, but your commanders know to read the standing orders for those to-do lists. So that's the Dark Wheel update. In Frontier News, you're not going to play the button again for that, or I can just cruise right in?
Go for it.
All right. In Frontier News, Galnet, August 30th, the corporation plans Onion Head Medical product. So this is the pharmaceutical giant Neo Medical Industries. They're aiming to mass produce the gamma strain as a medicine. At the time of this article, there had been no response from Kumo Crew Syndicate, who currently supplies the new variant, but as you'll see in a couple stories, that changes. August 31st, Heiford's Cache reveals mysterious project. As we mentioned last week and has been covered quite well by a number of content creators, including Galnet News Digest and the Burr Pit, the data cache timer expired last week. It kicked off this quest. In the article, they're suggesting a possible connection to Kit Fowler's recent theories about Black Flight. September 1st, Federation criticized by Alliance and Empire. I'm shocked to find the superpowers disagreeing. Yeah, whatever. September 2nd, Pharma Giant begins Onion Head project. So this was the kickoff for the CG. Now the Kumo crew is kind of upset, so there's a CG that we'll talk about in a sec. And then finally on September 3rd, Torval Orbital established. So this is the continuing story from the CG a little while ago with Samina Torval being in conflict to have a new headquarters in LTT 198. So there is a new starport there. So the community goal that got launched, there's a hauling component and combat component. You're basically protecting deliveries for Neo Medical Industries or getting bounties for fighting off the Kumo crew. That's your choices there. Rewards, basically some stickers, onion head decals, and a Cobra Mark III onion head paint job. So if you're really into onion head, I guess that's for you. So that's the news. I'm going to go through three things here that I think might be fodder for some discussion. We'll see if anyone's got some thoughts, or we might just keep cruising through it. The first one, we've got this issue list they've been continuing to tick the boxes off of. I think this is maybe in the category of I really hope this turns into something substantive. They've been sort of ticking some things off the list that actually were already done before they made the list, so it's feeling a little hollow. I really hope that becomes substantive and it really turns into a good tool for them. I think it's got a ways to go.
Preach, brother.
The second one, and this is one I might talk about for a minute. This idea that they're going to be putting, well, there's two parts of this. They're going to put concourses in megaships, and then they're going to put these megaships all around the Milky Way, in I guess one per sector or something, which sounds suspiciously like a giant, well executed player-driven activity that resulted in the DSSA carriers being put all over the galaxy and providing that service.
I'd like to take a moment. Let's actually go around. I would like to hear everybody's thoughts on that, because I think you and I, Roy, had the exact same thought when they announced, like, okay, we hear that people out there are pissed off because they were out in the black when Odyssey dropped and they now don't have their exobiology suit. So we're going to fix that by putting concourses not in fleet carriers, as everyone's asked, but in megaships. And we're going to place megaships in the different quadrants. What is that called? Sectors. Different sectors of the galaxy. And that way, players can get their exobiology suit. So what occurs to me is, number one, why didn't you just give every person who bought Odyssey a level 1 exobio suit? You don't have to upgrade it. You don't have to give them the Maverick suit or the combat suit. Just the exobio suit. Give them a level 1 suit so that they didn't have to go anywhere. Number two, if you are going to say we're going to fix this by adding concourses places, maybe you should have done it 4 months ago when you released Odyssey. That was back on May 19th. It's now September. They could have already, but at this point, you kind of already screwed them. They had to go wherever. They would have gone there 3 months ago. Number three, if you were going to introduce it to anything, for the love of God, just put it on a fleet carrier. You didn't have to make it part of, like, it's owned or controlled by players. It could have just been a thing where the Brewer Corporation, who sells the fleet carriers, they retain the right to have a concourse, and they own it, and they staff it, and you don't get any profits from it, and you don't pay any money for it. You have nothing to do with it. It's just there. And that would have, at the very least, sort of shown respect, because it seems to me, and I could be wrong, but the single biggest, most beautiful, most your player base did a cool thing is the DSSA. Those players, those people, men and women who stood up and said, I'm going to volunteer my time and money to put a fleet carrier out there for the good of all. That's so beautiful. And it seems like this solution that they've decided to go with, is it just me, or does this shit all over the DSSA? Does this not make that entirely useless? And I'm not trying to be shitty about it, I swear. But, like, I would love to hear from the panel and from the people in the chat. What do you guys think about this? Does this, am I missing something? Is there something where, like, I'm just being a dick and I'm being, like, Mr. Negative, and I should change my, because I'm open, I'm willing to change my viewpoint if someone can make a good persuasive argument.
Katie, you got a thought on that?
So I typically try and not comment on Elite Dangerous anymore, just because it's nowadays it's just a game. It's just one of the, it's just a game I don't play. It's just someone else's game now. I don't feel any vitriol towards it, but I can't help but feel that the term malicious compliance comes to mind. Like, this problem has been highlighted to Frontier, and they can't just say, okay, we'll give players what they've asked for. We'll put a concourse on fleet carriers. They can't do that. It's got to be some undermining step. That, as you say, Kai, it does completely undermine the efforts that the DSSA, which is a huge project that achieved, it's an amazing achievement that they were able to coordinate and set up this array of deep space carriers. And this kind of half measure solution to the problem really feels like it undermines that. Yeah. And I have to admit, it really gives me a poor view of Frontier. More so than I guess I already had.
Lady Rain?
So, I'm gonna bring the spice and the salt, sorry. I'm gonna be that bitch. As a community manager, I want to know why their community team isn't being an advocacy group for their player base. Because the first ever expedition that I did back in March, right before April and the update and stuff, I landed on 2 DSSA carriers. And they were a sight for sore eyes out in the black. And to realize that this was a player organization, a player group that had done the deep space support array. And the first one was over an Earth-like world that was ringed, and it was just this amazing thing to have this way station in the black. This is tone deaf. The leadership has no idea what they're doing. And to me, this is a giant slap in the face to the player base. And I really want to know who thought it would be a good idea. And is the answer just why can't they say this to us, right? Like we had all this glorious information we get from Star Citizen every week. Why can't Frontier just come out and say, we're not putting concourses in fleet carriers because we can't. It is technically impossible. We screwed up. We're sorry. That's why we're doing it on megaships. The fleet carriers move. That's why we can't put concourses on them. There's a technical limitation. Who knows if that's the case or not? But I I
Yeah.
want some honesty from Frontier once, please. Why did you do this? It's a giant slap in the face to the DSSA, and I'm sorry for being that salty bitch. I haven't played Elite since April, but this stuff
No, that's
still
fine.
gets to me. It still gets to me.
Just a thread on a couple things there. I mean, I think the megaships are going to move, aren't they? I can't. Someone mentioned that in the chat, and I couldn't remember if I'd read that.
I mean,
But that's
at Frontier's whim.
Yeah, that's a minor point. I guess the other one I was going to say is maybe there's some expediency here. Like maybe they thought it would be better to have a way to get suits to explorers in the black faster than to solve the longer term problem of a concourse and a fleet carrier. I don't know.
So I would point out that when Horizons dropped, every person, whether you were out on the black or whether you were whatever, if you bought Elite Dangerous Horizons, your ship now magically had the approach, you can land on a planet module put into it. That's no different than saying every account now magically has just a level 1 plant gun suit. Doesn't have to be upgraded, doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to have 50 different laser guns. Just the one suit which gives you access to the plant gun. That's all they need.
Yeah. Commander Miggles 314159 chat says putting concourses on megaships would mean they can place a base wherever an event calls for something like this. For example, above a Thargoid ground combat zone. I think that's true.
That's true.
There's no reason you can't do both, and it doesn't mean. I mean, they could have done that, but not spread megaships all over the galaxy. I mean, I think another thing for me is as an explorer, it makes exploration feel incrementally less dangerous again. I like the DSSA. I think in the very beginning when I first heard about the idea, it was a little bit like, oh, like now it's not really going to be dangerous. You're only a half a sector away from safety no matter where you go now. I've come to appreciate it, and I've worked it into my game loop as an explorer. I think it's great. Having a megaship there as well doesn't really add anything for me. And now just makes it feel more crowded, I guess. It's a bit, that's just sort of a feeling. It's not anything specific. Jade, you had a point you want to bring up?
Yes, I just want to say that I totally agree with what Lady Rain said, as well as Kai. It's heartbreaking. Out of the 3 games that I've played, this is the one that I have the least amount of hours in compared to No Man's Sky and Star Citizen. And I've often wondered why that was. And I've seen, I've followed the interaction between Frontier and the community. And I do think that does play a role. I've always felt sort of like an outsider looking into that whole dynamic. But more recently, I've started paying a lot more attention to what's been going on, and it really just hurts because I love everything about the idea of this game, the full Milky Way galaxy. It has so much potential, and there's so many easy ones for Frontier if they would just listen to their community and take the easy ones. But you also have to be open to criticism. We in the Star Citizen community, have seen both sides of that. I mean, CIG has been open to criticism, but then when the game gets criticized, we've also seen gaming publications run with that. And I think Frontier, with a fully released game, this is not an alpha, this is not a beta, this is a fully released game with several major updates, can do a lot better. That's all.
I'd like to take an opportunity to respond to something in the chat. Miggles. I see Miggles say, I disagree with Kai. I'm not much of an explorer, but if I had to choose one suit, I wouldn't choose the exploration suit. I'd be more interested in the other 2. I would point out that's exactly the point, Miggles. You're not an explorer. The whole point is that for us in the bubble who bought Odyssey, you have within 5 jumps in every location 100 different stores you can go to buy any suit that makes you happy. The whole point of this conversation is that for those people like Commander Picard, who's been out in the black for 5 years and might be at this exact moment, for all I know, 40,000 light years away from the nearest store. For him, if he bought Odyssey, it seems only fair. He spent his $40. He should have the opportunity to have a plant suit, a plant gun, so that he could go and sort of, scan a plant. He paid the $40 for the game. Yes, he's not in the bubble, but like, he should get a chance to look at pretty plants too. That's the only suit that explorers need. You don't need a combat suit as an explorer, nothing shooting at you on the ground. You don't need a engineering suit as an explorer, you got no panels to cut. But you are 40,000, 60,000, 80,000 light years away from anything else, surrounded by planets with pretty plants, which is exactly what Frontier said. You will have money to go, or you can give us your money and you can go enjoy these pretty plants. So that's the idea. Yes, Miggles, I'm sure you probably don't really care about the explorer suit because, as you said, you're not an explorer. But those people in the bubble have plenty of opportunity to easily grab whatever suit they want. Sorry, just wanted to hop in on that. Roy,
No worries.
take it over.
Yeah, so maybe one last thing. I think this, and it kind of feeds back to the very first point about the issue list as well. I think it might have been, I can't remember, sorry if it was Lady Rain or Jade that mentioned about tone deaf.
Me.
It's kind of a basic fact of like neuroscience and psychology that if you're in a situation, if you're in a relationship, and I'm speaking about the relationship FDev has with their player base at the moment, that's negative and sensitized, you need 3 positive things for every negative before it even feels even. And if they keep doing things that are, maybe they can say on balance there's some good with the bad, but they're not going to get into the positive part of that equation unless they really start doing some things, I think, that maybe aim more towards the side of let's make the game fun instead of slavishly adhere to some concept of like, well, they can't have the suit because they got to fly their ship back to the bubble. I mean, I just think there needs to be some thought put into that. I'd love to see this game pull itself out of the hole it's in. I mean, look, they've got more data about who's playing and what they're doing than any of us do. And for all I know, maybe some of those DSSA carriers are starting to go broke because there's nobody using them anymore. Who knows? Maybe that was something going on in the background. We'll never know. But if they want to dig out of this hole, they got to start tripling the positives for the perceived negatives. So anyway, the third thing here, Hyford's cache. So I mentioned it a bit earlier. There's some great stuff out there on Galnet News Digest, and the Burr Pit did a great talk about the Orthrus variant. I didn't even know about that had happened a few years ago, which sounds like a type of Thargoid ship that a few years ago was maybe mistakenly in the game for a while, and it turned out it had human components, but and then sort of went away. So if you don't need spoilers, close your ears for 60 seconds. So the Hyford's cache thing, the story leads to a Hello, It's Colo audio log and describes a hybrid human Thargoid craft developed by Azimuth Biochem. And many are speculating this is the Orthrus variant, and that's what the excellent Burr Pit video goes over. As yet, there's no concrete changes from it, so maybe there's more audio logs. I guess more to come on that. Anyone commenting on this path, this story? Any thoughts on this from anyone?
Mm-hmm. More audio logs.
Matter. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think this has to end up in something fantastic if it ends up in something fantastic in the game, to my previous comment, maybe it starts to move the needle. Hopefully it's not just a warmed over quest chain that got put on hold because Odyssey sucked all the air out of the room in development a couple years ago. So here's hoping they can pull that out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. We're coming up on 3 hours, Kai. Would you want to scoot right to Roy's stories?
Let's do it.
All right.
Here
Let's
it comes.
do Roy's stories.
All right, hold on a second. I don't know why it's not doing. Where did it go? Oh, lovely. I get to do this manually again. Hold on one second. Bear with me 1 second. This is not easy to do, as you'd think.
We now return to Roy's Stories, Season 3, Tales from Tawanta, Episode 6, The Body. LCU Split Infinitive, docked at Wilson Port, Tawanta, 3305, July 17th, 08:19 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Kaylee sat in the first-class cabin in Commander Thomason's ship, LCU Split Infinitive, and double-reviewed the plan that she, Frank, Hiroko, and Harold had just devised. She and Frank had decided that they were going to dispose of the body that they had found in the FSD maintenance tube. They hadn't been into the tube yet, but the system's sensors indicated that the tube was contaminated with polonium-210 microparticles, and that the intruder had disabled the alarm subsystems before closing the door behind them. Looking at the system log messages, the intruder was up to no good. They were in the process of reconfiguring the FSD. She doubted that the intruder had Commander Thomason's best interests at heart. They were possibly an agent of the Order, so it was best that the Order didn't know what happened to them. The Order might take it badly and blame the people nearest, that is, the outfitting deck crew. Kaylee had roped in Hiroko and Harold to help. She suspected they might have a bit more experience with situations like this than anyone else in the deck crew. They certainly had plenty of good ideas. Along with Frank, the three of them identified 3 tasks. 1. Get the body out of the maintenance tube and decontaminate the area without poisoning anyone else. 2. Disguise or destroy the body so that a casual scan wouldn't detect it. And 3. Get all the waste and the body off the station. The second task was the first one that they had figured out a solution for, scarily enough. Harold and Hiroko both had extensive knowledge of life support systems and closed ecologies. They had suggested alkaline hydrolysis as a method of destroying the body enough to avoid a scan. They were going to immerse the body in a bath consisting of a mixture of potassium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide. They had some of these chemicals available as industrial cleaners, but Harold suggested that the CO2 scrubbers from an ancient unused life support system could be used to augment the supply. They had pulled that life support module out of an old battered Lakon Type 6, and it was 600 years old at least. They had been meaning to break down and dispose of that module for years, but never got around to it, so that helped with Part 3 of the plan. It gave them a cover for getting some containers of chemical waste off the station. Harold was in the process of breaking down the scrubber and would soon have the alkaline bath set up in the hold of the LCU Split Infinitive. The tricky part of the plan was decontaminating the ship. If the intruder wasn't already dead, Kaylee would have killed them herself. They had made such a mess of things. The ship's computer estimated that about 5 grams of polonium microparticles had been released into the maintenance tube. That was enough to kill everyone on the station horribly. Even tiny amounts could be lethal. They decided that all the air, the body, and all the intruder's possessions in the tube would be considered contaminated and be removed and put into a chemical waste container. Once closed, that container wouldn't be safe to open without specialized equipment for about 11 or 12 years. Their plan was to set up an airlock outside the maintenance tube and put some decontamination drones and a cryo vacuum pump inside before opening the tube access hatch and taking down the isolation force fields. The vacuum pump would remove all the gas from the area, and the drones would clean up all the surfaces in there. There was a lot to clean up. To speed up the process, the ship's own cooling systems would be used to cool down the entire FSD area. Given how good the heat management system was on this ship, that should speed up the process of removing the air considerably. The vacuum pump would be completely contaminated during this and would need to be dumped. The decontamination drones would probably be okay. They were designed for work like this. For the last part of the plan, Hiroko would fly 2 containers full of chemical waste off the station. The official plan would be to fly to the refinery in Chu 1 and have the waste recycled. The actual plan was to dump it in a ravine on an uninhabited planet somewhere out of the system. Dumping it into a star or gas giant was suggested but was considered too risky. If they dumped the containers at a distance far enough away for the operation to be safe, then some ship would detect the containers as a degraded signal source and try to salvage them. Better to dump them on a boring, lifeless world that nobody could be bothered surveying.
Nothing obviously wrong with it.
Kaylee muttered to herself.
And I can't think of anything better given the time and resources we have available. I guess I should just get to work.
Wilsonport to Wanset, 3305, July 17th, 15:54 hours, Galactic Standard Time. George Smith reviewed the work order for his next task. He had to check 2 containers of chemical waste to make sure that they were safe to transport, and load them onto a hauler named Apfelkuchen. The containers had just arrived, and the ship was scheduled to depart in 20 minutes. The pilot, a woman named Hiroko, was already on board the ship and had done all the normal pre-flight preparations and checks. The cargo was the last thing to be dealt with. George reviewed the manifest for the containers on their integrated control panels. A mix of concentrated hydroxides, sodium hydroxide, and potassium hydroxide. Damaged mechanical equipment with heavy metal contamination. Some biowaste contamination, too. A quick scan with his own hand scanner was in broad agreement. Definitely not explosive drugs or weapons, which was a relief to George. The containers were banged up a bit, as if they had been rolled about a bit. He would have to have words with the outfitting deck mechanics about that. They should know better. Containers were pretty robust, but lasted a lot longer if they were handled properly. Also, they should have separated the biowaste into a separate container. However, none of this was any reason to delay the transport. He cleared it and was about to load it when he spotted the official Tawanta Order customs officer walking up to him. He was the new guy, and an officious idiot, if George's co-workers were to be believed. Great, just what he needed.
This is a random inspection. I need you to open these containers right now.
You sure you want to do that? I can't do that here.
Are you disobeying a direct order?
No, just pointing out that these containers are chemical waste, and according to procedure, must only be opened in hazardous materials zones. Everyone working in that zone must be in a hazardous environment suit. Give me 20 minutes. I can be suited up. Are you qualified to use an HE suit?
No.
Then someone else will have to inspect it after I have opened it. And this pad will be tied up for the duration. During a war, when fighters need to take off and land. So are you absolutely sure these ones need to be opened? Or would the next shipment take that box?
Get these containers loaded and this pad cleared immediately or I'll report you,
said the official before storming off. George got the containers loaded in less than 5 minutes and signaled the pilot of the Apfelkuchen.
Everything is loaded up and ready to go. Fly safe.
Roger that, and thanks. Owe you one for the quick turnaround.
Bring some pastries back. That stuff tastes so good.
Potential ally at the docks. That might be worth following up.
Hiroko thought.
Will do. Apple cooking out.
Apfelkuchen docked at Wilson Port, Tawanta, 3305, July 17th, 1614 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Hiroko took the ship out of the port under manual control. That allowed her to take a path as far from the system's security fighter patrol as possible. It also allowed her to speed a bit once she was sure her path ahead was clear. Both measures reduced the chance of a manifest scan before she managed to jump out of the system. She boosted, and was soon free of the mass lock effect from the station. She spooled up the FSD, no scans, so far so good. The ship hurled itself into witch space. Her first jump brought her to the Chu-1 system, matching her filed flight plan. From here on, she would try and disappear. She stayed close to the star's exclusion zone and launched a heatsink. She plotted her new route, and when the FSD was back online, activated it as well as using another heatsink. The second stage had completed successfully. Her second jump brought her to LTT 14823 system. It was uninhabited, with just 4 stars and no other major bodies there. Not even an asteroid belt of any note. No ships in the system, so she took a little more time and less risks with her next jump. The third jump brought her to LTT 14976, a low-security system with numerous uninhabited but landable planets and moons. She had identified LTT 14976 5A as the perfect dumping ground. Lots of deep canyons, dark, cold, inhospitable. Nothing particularly interesting about it other than some water geysers. The system itself had enough pirates to deter most normal explorers and surveyors. It's likely that the containers would never be found. In about 12 years' time, the radiation would be at near background levels, and the body would never be identified. Even now, there wasn't much left. The alkalis had dissolved the soft tissues and weakened the bones. A bit of rolling about with the remains of the vacuum pump and scrap from that ancient life support system, and those weakened bones were just small fragments. Hiroko brought the ship down in a dark canyon without being noticed at all. And after a short trip out in the SRV, had lodged the 2 containers at the bottom of a narrow ravine. Good luck to whoever planned on salvaging those, she thought. She took off and jumped out of the system without attracting the attention of any other ship.
Job well done,
She said to herself.
I think I deserve a slice of Battenberg cake when I get back to Macomb City.
What's the name of your ship? The Apfelkuchen. God bless you. All right, Roy, why don't you give shout-outs to the crew and whatnot for this episode real quick?
Yeah, we had Boss Lady B as Kaylee, Commander Jello Wiggler as George Smith, our very own Kaizen was the officious idiot order customs officer.
I hate that guy.
Bitbot 2000 was Hiroko, and as always, our maestro on the music and editing, Monohive.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
And of course, not to forget Commander Thomason, who was the author of all this, and the link to his blogs are in the show notes.
And also, you forgot somebody who was very important on this project. There's a guy named Roy who has something to do with it. He puts it together and whatnot, and gets everything all situated and whatnot, and so forth, and yada yada yada.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So, a couple things I want to run through real briefly. Number one, for our Patreon, I have to give a shout out to Quaternion because I can't take your money and not shout you out. So, thank you very much, sir, for contributing to the cause. Yeah, just wanted to say a thank you. Guys, I would really appreciate it if you would write in on this in the show notes, not show notes, comment section of the YouTube video after it closes, after we close it out, with your thoughts on these discussion topics this week with regard to Katie's phenomenal kind of what do you want to see from events in Star Citizen. And in fact, let's open it up even further and say, what do you want to see from events in any of these games? In No Man's Sky, in Elite Dangerous, in Star Citizen, in all of them, with regard to my question about, what do you think about the Nomansky update and the upcoming expedition, with regard to the Elite Dangerous stuff that Roy went over on, Highford's Cache, how that played out. What did you think? How do you feel about this whole idea of putting concourses on megaships and putting them out in the different sectors instead, whatever, and the other one, whatever that was. So yeah, I would really appreciate it if you would, put in your comments your thoughts on this, as well as if you're listening to us on the podcast places, give us a rating. Hopefully it's a good one. Thumbs up the video, subscribe, do the things that people do, yada yada yada. And we're gonna go around the cast, get everybody's closing thoughts, and then we're going to play the closing song. Good luck figuring out my musical tastes, and there's definitely not anything after the closing song for you to sit around to watch after. Starting with, because it's ladies' night, let's start with Katie.
It's been an absolute pleasure as always, guys. Thank you for staying tuned in. Hope you all have a great weekend. Get some Xenothreat while you can.
Hell yeah,
and,
all
thanks
weekend.
For listening.
All weekend, yeah. And Jade.
Oh yeah, about the loader. Yeah, so it's been a pleasure being on this. Thanks for inviting me. And remember, the more you share, the more your bowl will be plentiful.
Lady Rain.
It has been absolutely amazing. And since you told me when the show started, just remember, everybody, tomorrow on my stream at 8 o'clock Eastern, Black Sky Legion Community Game Night. That's again 8 o'clock Eastern, twitch.tv/Lady Raincloud. And tomorrow we are going to be playing and having a good time with Star Wars Empire at War. So join me for that and more news there.
Hell yeah. And Roy.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Lots of good things going on. I actually thought Xenothreat ended last weekend, so I'm going to hopefully have another crack at it, and maybe this time not spend 25 minutes free falling into Crusader's atmosphere. Bit of a story there. But anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you in the verses.
And I'm going to end up with the official Beltalowda patois for goodbye, which is Oyedeng. And I'm going to remind people that right now, the Soul Citizen crew is starting to do some Xenothreat stuff. Go over to the Soul Citizen Discord, which we will link in the show notes. I will go to the thing and link in the show notes right now so that you have it. It's not under the welcome. It's not under the rules. Where the hell is it? Where is the... I don't
in there.
Yeah, I'm looking everywhere. Hold on. I know where we have it. We have it in last week's show. No, that last week was Paul. Fuck. Go to the just Google Soul Citizens Discord. SOL space CITIZENS Discord, and go and get involved. Griffin and Fastcart, you guys both have permissions. Link it. Oh shit! I think we did do that thing to block because we kept having those weird dick pill robots. But we kept having a bunch of Griff or Fastcart.
What a graceful ending.
Griff or Fastcart, DM me in Twitter and I will, or in Discord, and I will post it in the show notes as the closing song is playing. Yeah, graceful ending is us. Yeah. So on that note, let's play it out. Jesus. That right there is what the actual after party in the Black Sky Legion Discord looks like.